but let's get on. Let's get on with it, shall we?
Get on.
All right, this is episode 13. All right, so what's going on, guys? Welcome to episode 13 of the Friendly Fire Podcast. We are joined tonight, like always, with Mr. the Puppy and his puppy, actually. DarthVeda, you're kind of recurring here. You're like a virus. Or an infection of some kind. I'm going to have to medicate this podcast, I think. And, of course, Sully from Illis Gaming, right? I get so confused. You're Illis Gaming. And I know
the branding job was done terrible. I have to get a new agency.
You should talk to somebody about that.
I really should. Somebody.
Yeah. Yeah, those are my counterparts in A Squad. In case you haven't watched, I don't know why you haven't. I think it's all I've really watched, sadly enough, because I just don't have time. And if Puppy ever played on the PC, he, of course, could join us, but we'll get to that later. Before we get into the topics at hand, we have a couple big ones. The big meat of the show is obviously going to be Hardline. I just want to go into the intro a little bit like we always do. Remind you guys, we do have it up on iTunes. I know everybody cringes, everybody hates iTunes, but a lot of people ask for it. It is there. Look it up. If you could take a minute, because I know you got the time. Like I always say, you're sitting here watching us, so you got plenty of free time. Give us a quick review. Just give a couple stars. Just make us appear on there, because there's a lot of Friendly Fire type podcasts. I could drop a link in the chat, actually, if you guys would like that, because most of you are lazy. I like to abuse the chat.
Some of us aren't in our living room, so some of us are less lazy than others.
As one of our
come on.
practically lays on the
I'm
couch.
new, but I got that part of the joke.
Like I said, I'm joined again by Sully. I'll introduce you since you're the newest one to the cast. He makes Battlefield videos primarily. Been playing it up in Hardline. How many hours would you say you have in Hardline? We'll go around the horn here.
Ooh,
roughly.
I don't have actually as many as I probably should.
Yeah.
I've probably got 3 or 4. Or no, 5, probably 6.
5 or 6 hours? That's all you have?
Fist bump.
All I have.
thought you
I
were
have.
gonna
I've been
reel
so
off.
busy this week.
But for you,
So
I thought you were going to reel off like 30. Just the way you are. All right.
I'm level 150. No, normally I would. I haven't got a chance to spend time with this beta. But
So you were real noob when we played the other night. Okay, cool.
that was my second night. So yeah.
All right, so yeah, if you haven't checked him out, if you're watching us on YouTube, I'll have everybody linked below in the description. Twitch isn't as easy to do that, so put his Twitter handle in there with him. You can find there, and I'm assuming you have your YouTube channel linked to that.
Oh yeah, you can find YouTube, Twitch everywhere.
that's
Just
what I
go there.
figured,
That's
so.
where all the goodies are.
Check him out. We got to promote everybody else, and we're joined once again by Darth, as well as like Battlefield 4 primarily. Gonna do a little Dragon Age maybe. I keep looking over here like you guys are there.
I suppose I could talk about the extra hour I played after the last time we done this, and then Hardline took over. It got better.
Yeah.
There.
How many hours would you say you have in the Hardline beta, just to kind of qualify yourself?
I
Since
just
I'm
looked at
second-guessing
6
why I
hours and
invited
38
Sully.
minutes.
How much?
6 hours, 38 minutes, exactly.
yeah,
Which is like 300 rounds in
I'm out playing
Hardline.
you guys. Big
Yeah,
time.
that's the other part too. So give us credit here. They're short.
No, I'm only yanking shit. Just because how do I ever have more playtime than you guys? I've got to be up to about 15 hours right now. I'm over 10.
Oh, did I say 6 hours? I meant 6,000 hours.
Bajillion hours. It's not the quantity, it's the quality of play, right? You guys, you definitely got me on that, because I think you can't be higher level than me now, but you might have been the other night. Darth, you have more than that, don't you?
No, 6.5 hours. That's what Hardline claims. I'm looking at my stats page.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look it up too, because maybe I'm misreading something now. You got me thinking about it. Puppy, how did you do on Hardline? Did you get much playtime? I know you've had some technical shenanigans.
I got a little bit of playtime in on the console. I've been distracted by other games. I'm a one-track gamer mind.
By the way, you guys didn't remind me to launch that video. Thanks. You had one job.
I sank probably. I'm with Sully. I'm probably sunk about 3 or 4 hours in.
Get
and
on.
that's it.
All of you.
Yeah.
Go look it up right now.
No, this
You know what it was? Is
I
like
do like 40 hours.
Yeah,
I was gonna sink in more time, but I dropped in like 30 hours on the first beta, and when I started playing this one,
Oh, no, I have far less. I'm sorry. I have 8 hours, so yeah.
Yeah, I've got 5.
Where did I get that number from? Okay.
Your brain.
Yeah, I was the same way. I can't play this weekend, so I was trying to make sure I got quality time in during the week. But they did just extend it to Monday, I guess. I don't know if like Monday into the evening or what, but they did just extend the beta.
so they went from 5 days to a week.
I saw that somebody like the big like challenge was met, and they're gonna give everybody a battle pack on launch.
Are those challenges never not met?
Well, the ones
I would guarantee you that they have something in mind, and they're going to be met one way or the other.
No, I think there was one way back. I can't remember what Battlefield 4. I don't remember what it was though.
Yeah, that's not happening again.
I think there was one that wasn't met, but they ended up giving everybody the reward anyway.
Which is fine. That's PR.
Yep.
It's like the Houston Astros that tried to do a promotion on Twitter where they said if we get X number of retweets, we'll give away this autographed ball, and then they didn't, and then they had to send like the saddest tweet in sports marketing ever, where it's just like, oh yeah, we're just gonna keep it and trade again later.
Fake it. I mean, just fake it. We had a lot of tweets on Facebook. Yeah. But all right, we like to go around. And before, I have a feeling you guys have already answered this question with your lack of time and you're putting it in Hardline. But what else have we been playing? Puppy, we'll lead off with you because I feel like you might have the most variety here. What have you been playing in the last week or so? What's consuming your time?
I have spent the most time in Far Cry 4. I finally cracked the plastic on that one and sunk my teeth into it, and holy crap, is it good.
Really? I just don't see it.
I've played a little bit of the go ahead with your eye rolls, a little bit of Destiny, but it's honestly, it's been more chore duty in that game now. It's not even like the little bit that I did play. I was like, this isn't even fun. I don't want to do it. I just feel like I have to. I gotta do this stuff because it's once a week. You do it once a week, and this is what you got. And yeah, so it feels like chores. And then there was I picked up a free game for the Xbox Live Gold thing, which is like IDAGB or something. It's something weird like that, and I played that for all of 10 minutes. And
I don't give a...
I played it for 10 minutes and was like, nope, uninstall.
Yeah, see. Then that's why you don't remember the name, obviously.
Yeah.
So
didn't care for it.
Sully, anything else? You just basically said no, but... You're more of a singular gamer anyway. I get the
feeling. I am. I tend to get into one game and really, really play it. But recently I've been getting back into Counter-Strike Global. What is it? Counter-Strike.
Oh, that's right. I saw that. Yeah.
The new one.
Go.
Counter-Strike. Go. Counter-Strike defuse that bomb. So basically playing D2. But really, the one that's really surprised me this week is since I've been so busy at work, when I get home or whatever, I'm like trying to go to sleep. I've been playing a lot of Plants vs Zombies on my phone, which is a great little tap fortress game, and get that sun, get those zombies. So that's really what I've been playing. If it's not Hardline, if it's not my 5 hours of Hardline.
Well, then those are highly valuable hours of Hardline, by the way. Darth, what about you? Anything extra? An hour of Dragon Age?
So yeah, I played the hour of Dragon Age last weekend. I'll probably be playing it a little bit more this coming weekend or soon. As soon as Hardline Beta is over. Obviously, been playing a lot of Hardline. I'm sure we'll talk more about that. For more casual gaming, I've been playing SimCity Build It a bunch recently.
That's the mobile?
Yeah, mobile. I've been playing on my iPad. They basically took a lot of assets from SimCity 2013 and repackaged them into a mobile game that's kind of like Heyday meets a city builder. So it's okay. It's interesting. It's held my fancy for about a week and a half now. Let's see. I also started playing Crossy Road, which is an amusing diversion of time if you like Frogger and making messes out of pixels.
I noticed a loss of production theme here.
But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been playing in the last week or two. Yeah, not much else other than that. Yeah, all Battlefield all the time, surprisingly.
Yeah, well, that's how I was once the beta hit. I actually had to write myself a reminder because I always forget. And I don't know where I wrote it. Oh, there you go. Yeah, Hardline for myself. Like I said, about 8 hours, which that's a lot for me, as we can attest. Not getting much time. I've been trying not to burn out on it. It's just a beta. I was just trying to kind of get to certain points I can try certain things and get a feel, which we'll get into, obviously. Played some Dragon Age. Been playing that. I have not done a second of single player in Dragon Age, but we did a bunch of co-op a couple nights of that. That's actually pretty fun.
Oh, yeah, that's actually a lot of fun. I did that a little bit, too.
We got, once you get a certain level, you start rolling. It was actually kind of fun. I think we must have tried 10, 15 dungeons. I think we only beat like 2, but it was pretty epic. It was pretty good. Once we started to get some items and things, that was fun. Definitely recommend the game. I got it for $30, something like that. Definitely been worth that. I think we covered this ad nauseum the last time. And I've been playing a little game.
Game of the Year yesterday somewhere.
I saw it. It was won quite a few. But like I said, I haven't even started the single player, and a bunch of the guys in our community chat have been going ham on it, so I'm dying to do it. But right now it's like playing Hardline while I can. I'll get into that next week or the week after, something like that. Also, I've just been playing a new little game, Darkest Dungeon. I don't know if you guys have seen this little roguelike, like turn-based thing. Starting a Let's Play on that, but that's pretty brutal. That's been fun. That's been my diversionary game.
You're playing a roguelike? That's
we talked about, was that last episode we talked about that?
Yeah, we were talking about all the what was it, the games like Dwarf Fortress that you like?
Yep, they're all linear. Though this isn't really from that, but yeah, it's the same kind of idea. Brutal, death is death, and anybody can die at any time. Good game though. I'm not too deep in that yet, but of course, Hardline has been the main thing. before we get into Hardline, I just want to talk about A Squad because we got a couple questions for that. I posted a tweet a couple weeks ago. I've been thinking about doing this episode for a while. Puppy knows I've been talking about it. And I got a couple funny little questions. I figured we could do this. I was going to do it with X, but, he's just a little too busy right now. I'll have to do it again with him when he gets a little free. I would like to hear his answers to some of these, too. But, Puppy, you can chime in if you want or whatever. Or otherwise just let Darth and Sully comment, because I'm curious. What is A Squad D? What does it mean? What message do you hope it gets across to those watching? This is kind of like the PR, the label, if you want. And I think Sully should be the one that kind of should lead on this.
Did everybody get the Q&A doc that I sent?
Do you need a minute to open the doc? Is what I was
No, we're good. We're good. I ran my paces on this one. No, for me, A Squad, I think, and I hope the viewers get it, is just it's a lot of fun that we're having, and it's a lot of people play games like Battlefield, whether it's on console or PC, and they complain about a squad that doesn't work together. And so I think it's nice for to see what you can do when you have a bunch of people working together. Plus, we're all crazy, and it's a lot of fun. So that's kind of what I'm hoping. That banter, though, Once we got personalities, right? Because remember, originally we were too serious. So once we all went out, did some really good workshopping on our personalities, it's got a lot of fun. But no, that's drinking.
The pendulum swung from objective-based gameplay to ridiculous joke trading during the match.
Well, that's what happens.
The humps happen.
The humps
happen.
That's what happened 16 months into a broken game. Anyways, but no, it's good. It's good.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Darth, what do you got anything to add on top of that?
No, I'd probably echo the same thing. Ultimately, A Squad is a way for me to behave when I'm behind my keyboard and not swear at it entirely all the time. When I'm generally on my own, I just behave and swear like a sailor.
I didn't realize you were holding back. It's kind of scary, actually.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was a requirement.
No. There's a reason why my desk lost this piece, by the way.
See, Sully, I think you get a bad rap. We call you Salty Sully, but I think at least you're comfortable with yourself.
I bottle it all up so I can have a heart attack in my 40s.
I was gonna say, you want to see me salty, you got to watch me a round of CS:GO on competitive with 4 other people who don't play the game.
Well, it was funny because that clip we were talking about where that went up today, and where I totally noobed it up and didn't realize I had the bag, and you guys are yelling, and right in the middle you hear Sully come in and be like, and when we lose, like, he was ramping up, man. He was ready. He was ready to chew me out. But luckily, I was already standing on the objective. I was like, I'm good, Sully. You can't yell at me. Because if we would have lost,
I wanted to say fiercer words about you at that point, but my mind went to I'm gonna go with like second grader mode and call you a dork.
Yeah, you could tell you were so dumbfounded. You just didn't even know what to say. So was I. You could hear the embarrassment in my voice. I hope you could, because I was red faced. I was just scooting over to the objective. I was like, oh.
When we could have cut you all the slack in the world because we're playing the beta.
It was funny.
Yeah.
All right, so
I don't know how to play this game.
I play games to win.
Clearly, you don't have 15 hours played. So we got a couple ridiculous little submitted questions then. So first one is, who's the shot caller? We'll include X in this because, I mean, he's recently kind of taken a step back, but he's done a lot of episodes with us. So, of the 4 of us, I'd say, I have my clear answer, I think.
I was going to say I'm the loudest.
Yeah, I would say you definitely are.
So whether or not I'm right or wrong.
You tend to give us direction, but
whether we do them or not.
I tend to mindlessly do the one thing that I know how to do on those maps.
Until he calls out UCAVs, and then suddenly everybody listens to Sully.
Yeah, if I UCAV, that's not an issue. Or if there was that, we did a classic mode of Zavod where, because I was a squad leader, I was wasting a bunch of time by flying around in the chopper.
Oh, yeah, I yelled at you about that.
Yeah. So it doesn't always work out, but I'm certainly the loudest.
Yeah. You're the most persistent, I would say. That's something we do have to work on, I would say, the most, is communication that way. Even, I think it was a video I put up, it was like something like, Darth's like, yeah, I'm dead. I'm like, where is that? And so it's like, yeah, where is that?
Where am I? No. Look on your map, see?
All right, so
we all do that, but we also all love to yell when that happens.
Because we all feel wrong. This one should be good. Who is the best player?
Oh,
it's not me. I'll be the first one to say I'm for sure.
Consistent point scorer and kill getter. It's Sully.
This I should, Puppy. I think I should have saved these questions for the end of the cast. I think.
And
I'm okay with this.
Well, clearly I
just figured Sully might have been a little more drunk, and he might be a little more liberal with his
I gotta get another beer. Right. No, I think It depends. We're all the thing is though, consistently, if you look at the rounds, even if the ones we don't broadcast, we're all up there at the top of the scoreboard working together. So
it's
a lot of times, who's ever at the top of the scoreboard because of that ends up being the squad leader or is.
I think we all agree X is the best of the Bacons. He's the best bacon placer for sure.
He's director of bacon.
He's in charge of the bacon. Honestly, though, not to sidestep, I'm gonna let you guys off the hook a little bit because I would agree. I wouldn't know how to say anybody like. Everybody seems to play different classes and things, and it's just like you said. If it's not one of you at the top, it's the other. So, but I would clearly put me forward. I would be behind half the other tank guys. So, and I'm okay with this. What are some other big YouTubers you'd love to see join in?
Ooh.
PewDiePie.
Pumpkin Pie.
Oh, jeez.
Sure.
PewDiePie
Anybody
career
nobody
set.
jumps to mind?
Well, so yeah, let me backpedal on that. Sure, PewDiePie can join in because I would sure love to get cross promoted with his 34 million subscribers.
Right.
There's a lot of crossover in that demographic, probably.
Yeah. Give me 0.1% of his following, and he can come on. No, I'm sure there's a lot of middle tier, and we've talked about this before. Yeah. There's a lot of middle tier, even if it's like middle tier people. Anybody can join, really. Yeah.
Well, let me just take a moment then anybody watching, because I get asked quite a bit. We're not like inviting people in yet, because we really didn't know each other when we started. It's been 2 months now, probably. So, and like I said, only fairly recently has the banter really kind of started taking off, and unfortunately, X had to step back, so we'll probably have to fill those shoes a little bit, but. It's such a weird thing. Like, you don't want to just invite someone else in because then the chemistry gets thrown off. And I think the chemistry is the most important part. There's a lot of great players that I could hit up and just invite in. I'm sure you guys know. Half the tank guys could step in, no problem. It's just you got to find the right balance of chemistry. You can't have everybody be a jokester because then it's just it's a PewDiePie video. But so if you don't want anybody too serious, you don't want anybody. It's not easy. So we will invite people in a little more. But we have kind of our go-to fill-ins and guys we trust. But I would like to ramp that up a little bit more. But we got to see which direction it's going to be going. I guess we'll get to that in a little while because we'll be decisions ahead, I suppose. If A Squad were this, I might ask at the end of the cast again. If A Squad were the A team, who would be who in what role?
Oh God,
I don't know. You're Murdoch, Darth. There's no doubt about that.
Yes.
I need some disguises.
I'm trying to think. I guess that would make me, because I'm going you Hannibal, and I guess that would make me BA because X is just like face that just goes off and does his own thing and drops bacons and chases girls.
I would agree with that assessment. I think we should get T-shirts.
It fits the Ace team. What a nice sweet van with stripes on the side. That'd be pretty good. I guess my little logo.
I love it when a plan comes together.
Yeah, exactly. You should start saying that song. It could be a catchphase of your channel. We're rebranding you now.
I'm already humming that stupid song. It's like it's on loop in the background. It doesn't matter what the context is. It's on loop in the back of my brain.
All right, so I just wanted to have a little fun with that and introduce that a little bit. For those of you that don't know, that's kind of our little joint project we've been doing. We'll do a little more in depth again, like I said, but I just wanted, since you guys were on, I wanted to speak about it a little bit. And I had these questions from a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, I feel bad I asked them, but then we never did anything with them. Darth says, clearly I'm not the best player because I don't even know when I have the package, apparently. Just reading the comment. So, Battlefield Hardline, so we can let Puppy chime in here. And I feel like this is going to take up the meat of the podcast. We have a couple Battlefield topics, if we get to it, and then we'll, of course, take questions. So, we covered how much we've all played. Puppy, did you say an hour? I don't remember what the hour time you said. Roughly.
Like three or four, something like that.
We're all roughly the same. So, yeah. And we'll probably, I won't double my time, but figure most of us will be probably pushing 10 hours by the time the weekend's over, the beta's over. Overall, I'm going to break it down. We'll go good, then we'll go bad, we'll go ugly. So we'll start with the good, because everybody says I'm so negative, so let's just start with the good. I'll lead it off, just kind of throw a couple ideas out there. I have a couple bullet points here. I love the infantry focus. That's me. That's what I want in any shooter, really. CQB goes hand in hand with that. Faster pace, I like. Literally, the guys move faster, too. Squad focused, I think so. At least some of the modes, and I just a little mechanic. I like the new perk system over the old perk system, where you get ammo right on the fly, that kind of stuff. So, what are some of the good things you guys liked about Hardline, whether you were expecting it or not? Puppy, I'll let you chime in since you've been sitting there so patiently.
All right, good things. Well, the M16 is really good.
Hello, Level Cap. Have you guys met Level Cap here?
That one's also going to appear here in a few minutes when we do the bad. I enjoy it just because infantry focused. I'm a hardcore infantry player. Hate the vehicles. They brought in one of the things that I've been missing so desperately since Battlefield Vietnam,
Aim assist?
and that is radios in your car,
Yeah.
so you can drive around listening to your beats.
You're not a YouTuber.
What's the appeal of that though? So seriously, like it's going to be the same songs on loop though.
It's one of those things like the first time you hear it, like that, like whatever one of the song comes rolling up the hill, you look over, you're like, what? That's pretty cool. But then after that, like a couple of days, it's gonna be the same with the middle finger stuff. It's just the first couple times you see it, it laughs. But
I played Vietnam for ages, and I still
see, that
to
had
the
an
end of
attitude
it.
to it, though. Yeah.
In Battlefield Vietnam, you could opt into what song you were going to play when you were going to play it, but in Hardline, it just starts playing it whenever.
It's the radio.
And I can generally go, oh, hey, somebody's coming over the hill with the blaring radio. I'm going to get ready for that.
Such a tryhard.
Well, I mean, it was kind of fun in Battlefield Vietnam because I could turn on, like, hold on, I'm coming, and fly over the hill at somebody and be like, yeah, I'm coming, and feel like a badass when I mulched him anyways.
So what else you got, Puppy? I mean, you like the music. Probably like the middle finger.
I like, honestly, all right, this is probably going to catch the most hate, especially from the hardcore Battlefield guys, but I like the change of pace. I mean, we're not looking at some war-torn battle, or some World War III type scenario where it's the Russians and the Chinese and or the Koreans or whoever. This is a different approach, I think, and it's interesting enough for me, even if it's a little gimmicky with
cheesy,
the cops versus robbers.
It's
a little cheesy.
Yeah,
I agree.
But it's new. It's new,
Right.
and it's something that I haven't really gotten to play.
But it is new.
It's. I mean, you can try and make the comparison to like a Payday type game, but that's not the same thing.
There's
you
some
can't
Payday
even.
in there, for sure.
It's a little bit, but I mean, I don't know. I found it to be refreshing. It was very refreshing, and then the new game modes are pretty cool. Honestly, I had a big long discussion on why I dislike Conquest reappearing again, but I'll save that for the bad.
That's a branding thing. It doesn't really fit, but yeah, I know why they did it. But that's you good for now?
That's me for now.
No, bad is obviously no M60, but we'll get to that. Sully, what do you got? I'm going across my screen here. So what do you got?
Okay.
Good. Let's just keep it on good for now.
Okay, good. Just good. MP5K.
Reunited.
This is a completely irrational good point. I love that gun ever since like freaking Rainbow Six like Rogue Spear.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's like a diehard. Like, oh, that's a kick-ass gun. So I just love using it in game, and it's great in this game. It was good in Battlefield 3 when you're playing like
Battlefield 3, I loved it. Yeah.
TDM. So I'm excited to have that back. The pace is nice. The pace is really nice. I've got some like middling points in terms of how I think that pace is going to play out. But for the most part,
are you talking pace and speed of like movement and gunplay, or are you talking about time to kill?
Like,
so yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Time to kill. Time to kill.
Just
push mouse button one until they're dead. But in terms of like being run and the pace of the actual rounds is pretty nice to get through. Plus, and we talked about this, is how fast those rounds loaded.
Oh my God! That is so nice. Yeah, that is really nice.
Small, to be fair though, it's smaller maps if you.
But it's also right. But that's the thing. Like if you're playing 6-7 minute rounds, you cannot have a 2 or 3 minute round intermission. That would kill you. It's boring as hell. And for a YouTuber, how good is that? Like that's always been the killer as being a Battlefield YouTuber versus a COD YouTuber. Like they always have these nice short, just like they could show a whole round and it's 6, 7, 8, 9 minutes. We always had to edit everything and edit a lot. So, except for Sully when he does group projects today. But it's almost like I feel like, Darth, you did the double today, and I only did the one, but I put some fill in the beginning because I'm like, I feel weird just doing like a 6 or 7 minute video. It's like weird, but I love that. Yeah. I love that I can get a lot of wins in an hour because I don't get much big blocks of time. Like to play A Squad, I have to set time apart.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't.
Yeah, no, there was a nice time where I sat down last night. I'm like, I have maybe 20 minutes to play it. I can actually get in a few rounds.
Right. That's so new for, I mean, I guess TDM, you could have done like TDM 100, but it sucks at that lowest score. But at least this, you're getting a full round. Yeah, that's new.
Lowest common denominator.
Something I would definitely do.
Yeah. And for some reason, I don't know if they're going to fix this, but for some reason, sniping is awesome in this game. I'm not really like a specialist sniper, but I love it in this game. In the beta,
I'm not to try that out yet.
Well, it's nice because it's the Scout Elite because it's not. Well, without Magnum ammo, we haven't seen Magnum ammo.
That's why I'm cringing. Yeah, I've heard it's literally known to be broken. So we'll have to wait and see what they do with it. If they don't delete it, I think it's a mistake. I don't see why we need it. I was getting killed just plenty,
Yeah. Well, the chamber time is so fast on that scout. That's what it was. That was the thing that got, like, you're shooting so fast with that thing. But if they change it maybe from like pre-Deagle BF4 Magnum ammo to post-Deagle, post-fall patch Magnum ammo, where it's Magnum ammo with an asterisk, maybe.
Yeah, just don't make everything a one hit. Like, don't one hit kill me in the leg. Is that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
that's it for. I'll pass on the rest of that. Those are my headlines.
Darth, what do you got? Good.
So I've been writing them down here as I think of them, but we already mentioned the load times, which are amazing. And seriously, like 5 seconds to load a map. Like I looked away and I looked back and it was already loaded. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I know why. I know why we can't have that in Battlefield 4, but can we have that in Battlefield 4? The pace of the game is vastly better than any other Battlefield game. So the big problem I had with Battlefield in general is more related to Conquest mode, but a lot of the maps that they have out there that are considered classic Battlefield maps that are gigantic have serious pacing issues where you can spend literally 2 minutes just walking or running, and that's a horrible experience when you have a very fast action-paced game like Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4. Like if you can, some of the frustrations that players had about the Final Stand DLC are completely related to this problem, and I can show you. Like, here's the time you spend actually playing. Here's the time you spend doing nothing, and it's the oscillation between the two is so huge that those lulls are long enough to be almost whole hardline rounds in and of themselves.
Yeah, I guess, especially if you're playing a little slower and so. Yeah, I mean, we'll get into it. I think it's almost, at least the gun plays a little too fast. But I just like, and I guess I'm basing it mostly. I mean, who knows what the sample size of the maps we have? I mean, remember, like Battlefield 3 beta, they gave us Metro, and then they delivered Battlefield 3, and Metro was like this redheaded stepchild map. It wasn't like anything else in the game. So I mean, we've got 3 maps here to look at, so get a little bit more of a curve to know what they're going with. But I don't like downtown, but at least I feel like I could play that map. Like I don't think that's an Altai range as Darth always compares, or was that you, Sully? It always compares to that.
That's co-trademarked. We have that registered.
Is that 3
I
or
gotta
4
send somebody a
Altai
check.
ranges?
So yeah, I'll have to,
it's the Altai range scale of rating.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it's not one of those. So if that's the worst map in the game, that's pretty darn good. Downtown, I'm saying that's pretty good. So that was your positive? You got more?
Yeah, I got more. While I was playing Heist last night, I was really thinking about some of the decisions that you would have to make as a competitive team. And I was thinking, there's really good groundwork laid here for competitive matches. Not that that's necessarily flawless, and I think there's a lot of other problems that we're going to get to here as to why it's not necessarily going to work out in their favor. And then the map,
like a CS:GO round type thing on like Heist, like at 30 rounds. That would be.
You'd need a bigger team considering the way
like
the game plays.
8v8, I think. Yeah, so you can cover all the lanes and things. But yeah,
right. It'll be curious. Like thinking about Bank Job and Heist specifically, like there were so many. Like I can't say Bank Job without thinking of something else. But anyway,
Forgot to ask what the rating of this chat was.
Yeah, no, I did.
Right.
The chat. I have no control of that.
Just the decisions of where to cover as a team are very important on things like that. So I think once people actually know how to play the game more, it'll get more interesting. But right now, everybody's just sort of getting new to it. So you have rounds that last for seconds, and you have rounds that are completely unbalanced because one team knows what they're doing and the other doesn't.
That's what happened. I'm seeing that a lot now. Yeah.
It's. I think it will be interesting once everybody figures it out and gets settled. And then in general, the map designs have been good-ish in places and bad in others. Like I'm not a big fan of Dust Bowl, but
I'm not crazy about.
Given what we've had in the past, it's no Altai range. I haven't seen any of those yet.
No, right, and that's what I mean. Like you get on Dust Bowl, you start loading Dust Bowl, and you're like, all right, this is like a Firestorm, or like even maybe a Galmud or something, like a big open desert thing. And you get in, you're like, it's not that big, and you can run from each. Like to me, I've said like I'm not a Conquest guy. I only really play Conquest with you guys mostly. But I'm like, I could end up liking Conquest more in Hardline than I will in Battlefield 4, or any really Battlefield, just because it's like an infantry free. It's almost like a big domination, really, with the flags and things. But I guess we'll get
no
into
mobile
that.
AA for one.
Yeah, and no vehicle, huge vehicles makes a big difference. So, go ahead. Did you have any more? I didn't want to.
That's all my good that I've come up with thus far.
Yeah, we just kind of for myself.
That we
Yeah, I
haven't
mean,
covered at least.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm going to echo some other things. Like I said, it's just in general, it's like this game in that sense, in the good sense, was made for me. It's a me designed for me game. Infantry, CQB, fast respawns, fast running, no vehicles. It's all the things the drum I've been beating forever. I guess we'll get into the bad now because I'm going to bring up what Sully's been saying a lot. The replayability 2, 3, 9 months out, I don't know. And is that where we're going to notice that we lose the vehicles, we lose the halos, we lose that Battlefield feel? I don't know. As Battlefield guys, it's hard to kind of predict something like that. But I could see that being the case. After a while, there's only so many things you can do, only so many flanks you can run, only some, as the meta kind of gets to be
So,
steamed.
I got tired of Counter-Strike back in 2000, and
No, that's a good comparison.
every now and again I take a look at it and I'm like, wow, people are still playing the Dust, and people are still playing Dust
Yeah, it's
too.
crazy.
And
Yeah.
what has changed? And I realize things have changed, but
You can set
there's
things
so
up
much.
for a lot.
There's so much that's still the same.
To put in a good spectator client, really.
But so I guess so that's a good point though, because I was thinking about this myself because I stopped playing competitive Counter-Strike because of Dust 2, like that map, because of that map, the map that Level Cap held up as the paragon of all maps. The thing about a game like CS:GO, like unless you are literally making money and that's like you play it like 24/7, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of focus. It takes a lot of work to be consistent. And there's so many options as a team, mainly because it's 5v5 for different setups. So to work if you like that kind of gameplay, it can be rewarding. Now to play it for 16 years straight is another thing entirely. But there's something about the complexity of that game.
The simplicity yet complexity. It's really weird.
Correct.
It's so simple, it's complex. Right.
Mm-hmm. But it's so simple, but that simplicity and straightforwardness, which is never going to happen in Battlefield. That's not what I'm saying.
That's the problem.
Like, yeah, we will pick apart that level cap video, but but I mean that allows for what is essentially a strategy. So
yeah, I think it goes. The balance is also a big thing. And that game's much easier to balance. Obviously, it's got less trappings. So, I mean, you got to be balanced. But even then, I mean, everybody always weapon balance, and then you look at CS and everybody uses 3 guns, and you're like, that's the most basic, one of the most basic shooters out there, and it's still you're never going to make everything viable.
Well, correct. I mean, to be fair, though, what they've done a lot better with this current version. But we're not going to go into a whole CSGO counter side. But to be fair, though, in terms of weapon balance, and that is kind of an interesting, I mean, we'll get to that a little later in terms of, I know there's a specific question coming up about it, or I saw one on Twitter, actually. The fewer guns you have, the easier they are to balance.
Yeah, right. Or to make them more viable. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And so that's one thing I do
And then
think
the M416 is a literal copy and paste from Battlefield 4, as I found out yesterday.
Is it?
No.
Yes.
No, the damage.
All the stats except for the rate of fire.
100. That's a big stat.
It's 100 more, and there was one
sense.
other that
Damage,
changed. Yes, the reload time.
Well, the damage,
changed. Damage and reload times also changed.
Distance. Yeah, I think you got a reload debuff. We'll get into that. Yeah, so I mean, replayability. We'll get back to that because we got on a little CS tangent. I think that's the biggest concern. I guess if we had a concern category for the game right now, but bad to me is I question replayability. It's really hard to tell right now. But for me,
we'll have to. I think that's one we'll have to judge when it comes out because we have 3 maps and 2 different game modes. Was it 3 different game modes? It was Heist and Conquest.
3 maps.
Hotwire,
right?
Yeah, well, it was 3 maps. Heist for a day was played on all 3. Then we had Conquest on Dust Bowl. Is Conquest on Downtown? I don't know. And then Hotwire's on Dust and Downtown.
Oh yeah, okay. So we had 3 maps, 3 game modes. So we had 9 permutations total, and then we have,
Roughly.
I think they're shipping with 8 or 9 game modes.
9
and
maps.
9 maps. So
9 maps, I know that.
yeah, there'll be a lot more variety out there. So it will be interesting to see.
And
what
you know they're
happens.
gonna have DLC coming hard.
Well, here's the thing, though. The variety is a good question, but the question is, what's the community going to play?
They're bank jobs,
Right. Are they, or are they going to play Conquest?
Well, I'm just saying the maps like bank jobs will be like the metros, and that's where they gravitate towards.
Right.
I would think so.
Right. So I think it's also the interest of the community as well.
I looked at I think it was a level map video of the 9 maps. He went over what we know about them, and there seemed to be a fairly you can only tell from images and some of these like trailer teasers, so you can't get a huge feel. But there's a couple that seem wide open. There seemed to be some variety in the maps. How you can have a close quarter map that's just designed like crap and it almost doesn't count. But seems to be some variety because that's one thing I'm worried about. I want more bank jobs. I want less downtowns. I want, I want the infantry effect. If you're gonna give it to me, give it to me. Let's do this. I'll have Battlefield 4 for the battlefield moments. I'll have Hardline for that close quarter. We'll see. But now, mind you, this is the bad category where to get into the ugly will be reserved. So these are kind of the mild kind of for me. Destruction, big letdown. They've said it is not a beta effect. This is final destruction, more or less. I'm sure they might tweak some things here or there, but we're not going to see a huge shift in destruction going on.
I've noticed a lot of small destruction all over the place, but
even
nothing
not
like
a ton. But yeah.
Like it's it's not really necessarily part of the levels that are destructible. It's more like the
fences.
I guess the props that are props, fences,
cars,
little things.
I think that's fine. I mean, all you got to do is play a game of domination on Gomad Railway to find out how much destruction can be too much destruction.
Right. I think about. Go ahead.
I was going to say, honestly, whether or not the destruction is there, I think if they had to, and this is what I feel was the decision that was made, I feel like if you have to back off on your destruction in order to improve your overall network speak, your netcode, then fine, do away with it. I mean, it sucks losing
I'd rather
the destruction.
Dump Levolution and put a destruction in myself. But
well, yeah. I'm just saying, I'd rather the game play smooth and not have tons and tons of destruction and every building can blow up if that's the case, because every single one of those little bits of rubble is being rendered in and factored, and that's something that's weighing down and bogging down on the network.
But I mean, there's got to be a way you can do. All right, so maybe the buildings don't come down, but I can blow out that wall that guys are hiding behind. That kind of stuff, would be fine. To me, Dust Bowl is so weird, and other people have hit on this. If you played Heist, I don't know if you guys had a chance to play Heist on Dust Bowl. It's in the meth lab. What flag is that? Up the hill, the one that's way up the hill.
Oh, wow,
the more
really?
In the basement and all that stuff. And that house, maybe it's only a Heist, I don't know, but it's fully destructible. Maybe not the exterior walls, but inside you can blow up just about everything. And I just lost my webcam. Did you guys?
Bye.
All right,
bye.
I have my other webcam.
I still hear you.
Yeah,
that's great.
On the cast, but it's weird. That whole building is really, really destructible. But then you go down the rest of the map, and there's things like a guy takes a shot at you and ducks behind a window. You're used to kind of using your 320 to blow up that wall and get him, or something like that, and it just blows up. You're like, oh, that's right. I got to run in there and get him. I guess you get retrained, but it just feels so weird. And to me, it breaks immersion, and I'm not a big immersion guy. But when you're doing that and you're used to certain things going on, and then they just don't, you're just like, okay, we'll just move on. That wooden deck doesn't blow up or something. You're just like, okay.
It could also be a design decision where they're saying, it's worth. We want specifically for cover to continue to exist in these very specific spots. I mean, they sort of did wanted to have both parts of it in Battlefield 4, where there are things that are destructible and things that aren't, and that does cause a little bit of player frustration, because I can think of a lot of times in Battlefield 4 where I'm like, well, this thing is destructible. Why isn't that thing? I mean, what the heck just happened here?
Yeah,
it's never been perfect for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, I think about previous close quarters maps that we've had, like the close quarters expansion in Battlefield 3, where destruction was all over the place, and wow, that was really a level of treatment that we just do not even remotely have in Hardline.
But think about a map like Bank Job, obviously the bank exterior walls, solid stone. You could design it in a way nobody expects that to be destroyable, but just about everything inside should be to a certain extent. If somebody wants to get an RPG out of a car outside and come inside and blow open the offices, have at it, like a close quarters type destruction. To me, I just feel like there's better ways to design it so that there's no expectation of destruction. I'm running up to the outside of that bank. I don't expect to blow up this outside wall or the columns or things like that, but. And even in the vault there, I keep joking with you guys. I keep shooting at glass all day, every day, and it just doesn't. And they're all right, it's bulletproof glass. You forget, but then you go in another room, and it's the other side window is totally shootable glass. It's just weird. It's bizarre. But,
yep.
I mean, I would get if Hardline were to become a main game, I would get used to that, and I guess I would just get trained to just chase people in or nade a window or something. But that was a bummer for me. That was kind of a bad thing.
I think they do a bad job of broadcasting that kind of information to players the first time you see it too, because you're like, oh, hey, it's a clear piece of glass. I should be able to shoot through this, right? Nope. Yeah. I've seen other games that have done it more smartly, like Half-Life from 1997, where they would simply just do a metal mesh that you can't, it's like, oh, hey, you can see through it, but you can't shoot through it necessarily. It looks visibly distinct.
In there all the time, just railing off with rounds into that window, because it would be a total awesome spot to stand if you could shoot out into that little hallway there, but. Yeah, It's funny. But, I mean, again, I guess people learn that, but there should be maybe some signifying thing to let you know. I guess your bullets hitting you right in the face should tell you, but The other one for me that was kind of a bummer, and we talked about this, was spawns. They've clearly not improved the spawn system. And I don't just mean the guy pooping out of your butt as he's in a firefight or something, but it's just like in general, like how many times I spawn in the street and I'm ADS of somebody like before I'm even out of my spawn screen. It's like on a map again. Most of my commentary is on Bank Job because I played most of my time there. It's like some proximity scan before you spawn me in should be kind of standard at this point. I wouldn't think that's too hard. Other games do it. If there's a enemy within 10 meters of you, don't spawn me there. But. That's more probably at this point. I'm thinking a Frostbite engine problem. Are we losing frames? But go ahead. So the bad. Oh, I checked this. Side destruction, spawns, and replayability. Ball sweat, of course. Yeah. All right. So why don't you lead that one off? What do you got in the bad column? This is not the worst of the worst. It's ugly. I have a couple other things that we'll get into. But what do you got for a bad? Kind of bummed you out a little bit.
Who are we talking to? Me?
You. Yeah, we're gonna
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess I would say for bum me out a little bit. I mean, let's see here. Ugh. What bummed me out a bit is the replayability. Like that's not going to break it for me. It's still a good immersion. It is a little gimmicky, so I'm just always skeptical about that. And the good thing is there. Like there's plus and negatives to that. They've gone for it, right? Like your guy swears, your guy flicks off. There's donuts to spot, so they've gone for they kept that, by the way, which is awesome. But so it's the replayability is something that I'm really got my eye on. It's something that I talked about early on in the first beta, but I wanted to give it some time, so I still want to give it some time for a final judgment. But everything else you kind of went over is also I'd reiterate as well.
Darth, what do you got?
So for the bad column, I think the first thing I noticed, having played the CT a bunch and being aware of all the changes that they made over the last year, is holy crap, everything is back. Every bug, every glitch, every little thing that got fixed since last August has returned in full. Yeah, and I'm just sitting here kind of incredulous going like, did we not communicate with each other about what was good and what was bad?
I'd like some word from them when they branched off. We talked about these.
Right. That would be good to know. And I did have a quick Twitter interaction with Dirty Death Dog, asking him, hey, are you guys planning on reintegrating the stuff from the CT? And he said, whenever possible. So there's hope for the future. And I really hope that a lot of these things that were fixed in the CT are fixed in Hardline's retail. That's a lot to hope for given the past history with Battlefield 4 when we said, gosh, I hope all of these things are fixed in Battlefield 4's retail launch, and they most certainly weren't. Just having all those little issues come back is just perplexing.
It's a kick in the nuts. It really is. Yeah, to me.
It's like we spent time fixing this. It's obviously it's been fixed in at least one branch of the Frostbite build. So can we get some of that loving back into this game? Because it's kind of annoying to go back in time before the fall patch that I think universally everybody agrees was a good thing, and especially even like I'm noticing dying behind walls like I haven't in months. Like I think there's just things that haven't been transitioned on the server side even.
Yeah, it's just kind of like, and we were led to believe anyway that these guys were the ones spearheading that effort, and we're kind of copying and pasting it over to CTE on Battlefield 4, and now it's like it's not there. These are the guys that were like supposedly, running point on that. So like we said, it's like they should just be like, guys, this was branched off because it obviously had to go through cert. What's that? They got to give themselves about a month for that, in case something bounces back. So it's obviously a ways back, but it's not that far back, and there's some things in there you're just like, okay, but then weirdly enough, I'm not getting snagged on things. Staircases work, so there's like other things that,
so that's the other thing. Like there's the good and the bad. The bad part of the fall patch was that we started getting the snags in because they introduced all the new player motion, which was a side effect of doing that. And then they have since fixed that on the CT, which we're going to see in March in Battlefield 4. But you don't see that in Hardline because they didn't do the player motion, the same player motion things. So I don't know, it's weird. It's like a potpourri. What do you want? What do you don't want, kid?
I think it's just the problem. Like if this was a totally other game, we'd be more understanding in a beta environment of things like this. But it's like when you're literally stumbling over the same stumbling blocks that you've already had to like grit and bear it for 6 to 10 months. It's like I don't want to do that anymore. Like give me new bugs at least. Like
the short end of the stick here is we're not in the
they'll
beta.
find new bugs.
Oh, I know. Yeah. But,
Yeah, like,
and you said you can't have the faith. Like, unfortunately, Visceral gets a raw deal there. You just can't have the faith. I mean, I don't anyway. So
right. Well, so here's the precedent of betas that have come before. The beta that happened in June, we could almost actually call a beta because there was actual time to change things the players interacted with. Right now, not so much. And if you look at the history of betas, if you look at the history of the demos we've had before that they have called betas, Battlefield 4 had a beta. That didn't seem to go over so well. SimCity 2013 had a beta. They called it a beta. It was not a beta.
it was a fiasco.
Other problems also after that. So if you are basing your decisions to buy this game on, they'll fix what we found in the beta, then you're going to be up a creek.
Yeah, well, they're just going to say day one patch, day one patch, day one. It's
right. Day one patch is how business is done.
It's standard. It's not just a DICE thing, obviously, but that's going to be a big patch, is all I'm saying. It's going to be couple months of CTE plus things specific to this game that they've said they want to change, and so another one for me. And Puppy, actually I'll let you go, and then I'll go at the end. Darth, were you done? Did you have anything else to say?
Oh yeah, no, I'm done with the bad for now.
Pup, what do you got besides no M60? You can't really defib kill so easily.
Yeah, there's honestly, I haven't gotten the defibs really to go around try killing people. I remember in the actual beta that happened during E3, I got the little revive needle. I got a few kills with that, so I'm confident that it's still a thing. No M60, yes, this makes me sad. No, I don't know if I want to say put things in the bad category, because honestly my opinions are so strong that everything I feel is all in the ugly category. I don't think there's anything in the happy medium.
Okay.
I think the only thing I can really...
You can start off the ugly then. Go for it.
Okay. Well, first off, everyone's mentioned it, and I will just rehash the longevity, the lifespan of this game. I don't think it's going to be very long. You guys can call it when it gets here. I'm going to call it now, and I'm giving this game 3 to 4 months, and I don't think it'll live past that. I will probably still play it after that, maybe, but I don't think it'll live past that. And they'll be lucky if they don't get, that first DLC in time for that, because if they can't rehook people on the first DLC, their audience is going to die out before the first one drops, and people will not be back.
I think we're going to see an aggressive DLC plan for sure.
Yeah, I'm hoping so.
My point, I would pose a counter question to that. So I guess, where are people going to go though? So I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you that it's going to be a weird, as a Battlefield franchise, we're going to be a really weird location in 3 to 4 months if they can't keep those people, because the people who really missed 3 went back to 3. The people who leave 4 to go to Hardline aren't going to leave Hardline to go to 4.
No, I don't think anybody will be leaving Hardline to go back to 4.
They put themselves up against a wall with the spring/summer release. Because then there's going to be, for me, if I don't play Hardline, I'm just not playing.
No, I assume they're still targeting October for a Battlefront release.
Yeah, so that they're kind of really squeezing it in there. So I don't know. We'll see. That's why I also think we're going to have an aggressive DLC schedule there.
I'm not entirely sure where people will go after this. Honestly, for the hardcore Battlefielders, those are the people that aren't really going to have much place to go. But I feel like you're going to see a break away, much like we're seeing right now, at least me personally, and a lot of the friends that I talk to and play with, in which people just aren't playing it and they just aren't talking about it as much. Like, you might go and hop on and do it on occasion, but it's not like, when it first came out, it's not like Battlefield 3, which at least for me was all the way through its lifespan, where it was like every day, every week for 2 years. I don't see it being quite like that. That's very much the way that it is right now, as far as Battlefield 4 goes. I might get a game in here or there with my friends, but for the most part they're all off doing something else. Dragon Age, GTA 5, Destiny, you name it. There's a ton of other games that people have just kind of grabbed their interest, and it's not that they're really like, this is my game that I'm going to play for 2 years. It's just kind of this will tide me over until something better comes along sort of deal. That's where I feel like that if the game doesn't do well, and I could be wrong, and I hope I am wrong in all honesty, because who doesn't want to be pleasantly surprised with a game being a knockout? I think that'd be nice.
I'm laughing because somebody just said your cat looks comfortable. Danny said that. He does look comfortable though. That is true.
That's a beautiful cat. That's a beautiful 40-pound cat you have there.
I mean, people bring it up, obviously, Rainbow Six and things like that, but that's a fall release too. So I mean, it's
yeah.
I mean, obviously in the fall there's going to be options, but I'm with you. I think people are going to go just away from shooters. They're going to kind of mess around with a whole bunch of different. I mean, that's what I pretty much plan to do. Broaden my horizons. I mean, I'll still dabble. I'll have one of the games probably, be it Hardline or Battlefield 4. I'll still play, but it's not going to be that consuming game that I put in 90% of my time into.
Right.
What else you got?
Sounds like I need to find a game.
my other issues, gun balance, hardcore gun balance. I feel like in the last beta, we all kind of voiced the same thing. Gun balance. These guns are broken. And then this beta comes out and it's different guns, but they're still guns that are brokenly overpowered versus some of the other ones. Like your starter gun is just garbage for the assault class. I don't even remember what it's called, the R or something.
It's the RO933.
You get a carbine as your start gun, yeah.
Yeah, it's poop. Until you can get your AKM and your M16, and the M16. I'm sorry, it just outclasses everything.
I think the 416
M416 is
but I mean
pretty,
they're so similar.
Well, he's also
similar
on console. Keep that in mind.
Yeah,
I haven't tried the
yeah.
416, and also this was something that I wasn't sure if they actually changed it or if it was because I played it on console. Because when I played the first beta, that was on my PC, and then when I played this, I felt like all of the guns, minus the M16, which is just a laser beam, had more recoil, and that could just be because I played the first beta on PC with a mouse. It's easier to control.
Yeah, I think for sure there's more beta, more recoil.
In more beta?
Yeah.
More beta. What do we need, guys? We need more beta.
Yeah, I definitely
need more beta.
Like you said, I mean, your point is, I mean, I think M16, we all immediately said 416, which is basically just a tweaked M16 and a reskin. I mean, let's be honest. So,
yeah.
And they're both on the same the same side. Now I know you can eventually unlock them for both and things, and that won't be as big a problem in release. But it's just like, and maybe the AKM we were talking about is a monster, but they're just so different. I hate faction weapons myself. I think it's silly.
I think, and I think that's where my biggest issue with the gun balance comes from. Like, I understand there's this whole process of unlocking it for both of them, but I think, guns need to be available across the board. I kind of understand the idea that they're going for, and it's kind of a fun little idea, but unfortunately, when you're looking at a competitive game, I think if you're making these kind of faction-specific guns, you kind of step into the same territory as to bring it back to what we were talking about earlier, Counter-Strike, where there's some clear winners depending on which side you're on. Like this is the go-to gun or this is the go-to gun. Right, and it encourages a different play style. Yeah, and I don't think that's a good archetype to build upon.
See, I mean, let's be honest here. Like guys like us, anyway. Like that faction-specific thing will last what? Maybe a couple weeks, a month, and then we're all gonna have it.
Until somebody grinds it out. Yeah,
it's gimmicky, but to me, it's like. It doesn't really I don't think it really adds anything to the game. And it's like, they touted this money system, like, oh my god, remove the grind, no battle pack grind.
It's grind.
Freedom,
it's a grind.
Do what you want. Oh, but go ahead and grind that weapon to use in both factions. Go ahead and grind that to get, this. It's like,
I actually forgot to mention that under the good.
But
yeah, me too.
The grind. So I was cutting off Sully, so go ahead. I mean, I don't know.
Well, no, I was going to say exactly that. We talk about longevity, and this money is exactly kind of what I feel like sometimes they're relying on for longevity, right? I'm going to grind so I can get all $500 million worth of gold stuff and get all weapons unlocked on both sides, just to overcome the fact that you don't have that much selection on each class. So that's, I mean, that's. I don't think I'm going to have, personally, this is a personal opinion, I don't think I'm going to have the appetite to do that.
No, I said I'll be done. I'll be done in 2 weeks. I'll have what I want. I'll be done. Yeah. Yep. Because that's how I am. I'm a 1 or 2 weapon. I'll mess around here and there, but I don't deviate a lot from weapons. So it's not going to be a big bother to me. But it's just, to me, it's like, here's this hurdles. They're artificial hurdles they're putting in for no reason, and it's just kind of they're gonna DLCs are gonna come out with new camos that cost $500,000 and these things down the road, and that's gonna, like you said, they're hook. They're gonna try to get you to do it that way.
To be fair though, we are ragging on the money, but to say like you don't have to grind through the 3 guns you're never going to
like the money
to get that one gun. I still think that's a good. I think it's a positive. We should have talked about that more in the positive.
I like the money system. Yeah, I do enjoy that, but I think the gun permit license system is just kind of like, kind of silly. Like all the things that these guys have access to, you telling me the criminals couldn't get a M16 instead of that AK. It's kind of, I don't know, but.
It's probably them covering their asses where they're like, well, people might complain that this asymmetrical game isn't quite balanced for one side or the other, but if we make it available for both sides after some time, then you can't complain because then one side could also get it with enough grind.
You can't have them totally saturated. I mean, obviously CSGO gets away with it, but it's such a oddity in itself. I think a lot of people did.
It's a clear decision for their part.
Yeah, I think a lot of people did want faction specific. I mean, I've heard a lot of dialogue on that, reading it on Twitter and things. So again, who knows? This could be, there's always little pockets of people all over the place, and they're usually the most vocal. So
realistically, this system's a throwback to Battlefield 3, in which it was okay, and once you get past it, it doesn't matter anymore.
Weapon, yeah, so it's not a nuisance, but to me, it's just silly. Like I said, it's like they're all this whole thing of like, no more grind, we're gonna alleviate the grind, but here you go, you got to grind. Because then they threw the kill thing in there. It's not even like you can buy the weapon license with just cash. So you can just make money, go, okay, buy that permit now. It's on kills again. We're back to the kill system. And it's just kind of like, you didn't get rid of the kill system. You just kind of covered it with some cash. So I do think it's an improvement. Again, let's just make that clear. Go ahead, Puppy.
I was going to say, as much as I was just griping on it, I've kind of, since we've been talking, I've kind of realized something that's even kind of going against my own feelings towards the faction-specific items and everything. Because of the way that they're doing it, and because of the way that they're having the you can buy what you want, go straight for what you want with the cash, they still have to find a way to artificially inflate longevity of acquiring what you need to. Like I basically I get it, because if they give you everything all up front, like you play for a day and you grind out and you get all your cash and you buy specifically the one kit you want, and it's supposed to be the kit that all the competitive players are using, what incentive then do you have to buy anything else ever?
I should say, have anybody seen if they've talked about the money rate? I have to assume it's accelerated. Like, I don't think, because I could be done by the weekend with what I would normally buy. You know what I mean? So
right, and there's also Boost, which I've been barely using. I have to assume that we're at double or something like that. Right? Yeah. But the nice thing about being able to pick and choose is it also forces the developers to say, okay, everything has to be at least of somewhat balanced value.
Appealing. It's got to be appealing too.
Right. Yeah. I think like making money, like I was gonna say gold sinks, which is what we're getting at for like grinding long term. That they can do that. They've got cars. You can do paint jobs. They've got skins. People. It won't appeal to all of us. Really, it won't matter to me at all. But there will be plenty of people that are gonna be like, I need to save up $5 million to have that dollar bill skin. It's like, it'll happen. Why not?
Well, here's the thing, and I joked about this a little bit before while we're talking about economy. Are we going to see like Bitcoin crap where you're going to be able to buy fake currency in game to get?
You'll definitely be able to buy battle packs, because
you'll be able to buy a battle pack that gives you currency or something like that. Yeah,
right. There's going to be a system where there's microtransactions because you have to pay for open battle packs. So yeah.
No, you have to pay for battle packs.
Puppy was talking about the longevity of this game earlier, and I was thinking in my developer brain, like, would it have been a better idea for them to release Battlefield Hardline as a free-to-play game in the style of, say, Blacklight or any other free-to-play shooter that's out there, and say, hey, guys, here's a competitive shooter that you can buy that has free-to-play hooks in it, but you can also just play for free? Would that have been a smarter business play out there? No.
Yeah,
not on PC.
It's a
not
leap
to my
of faith.
knowledge.
He's done that, just not on that scale.
That's what I mean. A large scale.
Not on that scale, but I mean, they have some free to plays.
I'd love to see them try it, but I don't know if I think they would.
I would have played like free to play on like Heist on Bank Job. What was it? Blood Money on Downtown and Hotwire on Dust Bowl. That would have been a great free to play game.
Yeah, right. They wouldn't have it go as broad as they would have needed to. Especially when you're looking at a lifespan, they're going to cannibalize their own game. 6 months later? I mean, this is
them paying the price for Battlefield 4's mess up in terms of they had to go back and say we can't launch 2 games that were that terrible in a row. That's
one of my points here. Maybe we should just talk about that. How did they think they could release this 3 months ago? Like.
I thought it was supposed to release in August, actually.
It was August. Wasn't it? October, I thought it was.
You're right. I was thinking October, but I think there was something at end of summer at first, like a long time. But I was just saying October, 3 months ago. And it's kind of like, oof, man, they made the right decision. Not that it's terrible, but could you, like, if they release this today, we'd all be railing on it right now. But I think because it's a beta, it's okay. It's a little bit okay.
I think in retrospect, this is probably an okay move for them to just, even if people only play it for a few months and then go off.
It's a PR move, even if it's just a PR move. Yeah,
it keeps the brand relevant for players that have sort of lapsed on Battlefield 4, and keeps them interested in what they're going to really try to push this fall, which is Battlefront.
Yeah. And the cost couldn't have been comparable. Couldn't have been too bad because it is a lot of assets. There's been a lot of asset sharing there and stuff. But I mean, I'm sure it's not negligible. But should be fairly easy to recoup, I would think, because there's a lot of suckers in us. So probably we were on you, or was it Sully that was talking about ugly? Or
I jumped in. It was
all right. I was still railing him.
Yeah, all right.
I jumped in. Sorry.
No, that's part of the deal, dude. The other thing I don't like, and Culprit, you touched on this briefly. Again, I feel this belongs in the ugly category, and that's map balance. Holy crap, it's awful. And,
on my Twitter.
Map balance via the spawning and just it's ugly. It's really, really ugly. And I hope this is one of those things I feel like they might be able to fix, like particularly with the heists. I feel like they could just kind of move those elsewhere instead of putting B right in front. I spawn and I can see B. That's nice.
Well, here's the funny part: is the Game Changers program? That's what it's called. Right? The YouTubers fly out. I was told they had just the two side. No, they had B and one other. That was it. They had two spots, so it was the same two spots every time. And basically, what one team would do, the cops would just go, and it's like we do with Rush, right? All right, let them have A. We're holding B, and they would just hold B every time, and nobody could ever win. So they had to change it, and their thing was to throw a third one in, but they didn't really fix the problem. Was that B is just dumb? Like I think, and I got tweets back like, "Oh, if you have a good team, you can do it." Yeah, you can do it sometimes. But if you go against a good team that knows what they're going to do, and guess what? That's going to happen in 2 or 3 months after release, you're not going to win the majority of your games. I think we would stop people 70, 80% of the time.
We ran into that on the second day of beta. We hopped into a bank job heist, and we ran against a team. It's smaller maps, so that's the other part too. It's nice that it's smaller maps, but now you're going to have stacked stuff, and if they're not optimized on these what are complex but delicately balanced game modes, you're going to come up against even more stacked servers.
Yeah, it's easy to get there now. Nobody knows what the hell they're doing. And if you're a coordinated team, you're going to just bludgeon them we did. If I didn't sit there and dog around with the thing on my pack for 3 or 4 minutes, we would have had that game done in 4 minutes. And on B flag. So sure. But I played by myself, not with A squad, by myself, and it was like I was playing well. I was playing really well. I had guys with me that were playing well. We weren't coordinated. The other team had guys that were playing just as well, and it was like I would get up there, I'd get in the subway, I'd be like, okay, let me see what I can do here. That subway is kind of useless for a criminal because like every egress is like the view direction is back at your own guys, and the walls keep you from like back raging, and it's like the one goes out of bounds. I'm just like, why am I down here? It's like you think you want to be down there, but then you're just like, I kind of can't do much down here. So
you think you want to put a beacon down there, but what are you going to do with it? Oh,
here we go. We can get our back rage. We can hold off reinforcements. Let the guy. You can't really do that. So I don't know how they would fix it because there's not a lot of room on that map to then just pick up B because you need 3. I think that is the correct answer. You can't just have 2 static spots. Mm-hmm. So it's weird. And I mean the spawns are just as bad. I've seen tons of spawn traps in the last day or two. Like the cops pushing them out. Once you clear that first wave, they spawn on the other side of that fence, and it's just like the guys are on the roof and on the corners. It's like, good luck with that. So I don't know. We'll see. But you're saying they can fix it, but it's like they shouldn't have to fix it because they should have sat down and done like a post assessment of Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, and like, what are the problems with some of these maps? Hey, here's an idea. Let's not design that into this in the first place. And it's just like any degree of playtesting should have found these issues, and we'll get into that maybe.
That's actually what I was going to lead into with my next point. I was just curious. I have a friend who's actually appeared on this podcast before, and he's always given me hell about various other games about like if there's something broken in it. He's like, did they even QA test it? Did they ever play test it? Because he knows it pisses me off. But honestly, when I played the beta, that was my very first thought was, did they play test this at all? Because of these glaring imbalances, I just feel like if you don't play, like it doesn't even take like a very clever person to figure out how to abuse these maps and how to abuse these guns. And I just feel like if you can abuse something like that, then that needs to be fixed. That is wrong and that is broken.
I think what's happened here is we've gotten to the point where the players are far, far, far more advanced knowledge base and just better at the game series in general than any tester is going to be. So the fact that we are in a beta that's not a beta is a problem. And honestly, if they do want a competitive game and they want to be serious about it, they need to have actual betas ahead of time where players can
I think
give
they
feedback.
did do some of that because I know they did invite a lot of competitive guys to give input.
I was gonna say,
the seeds are there, but I don't know how much they listen.
Well,
to
I'd be interested in seeing the scale of that, right? If you do 5v5, you're going to have different exploits, you're going to have different holes, and you're just going to have space on the map. Now, if you're doing 16v16 or heaven forbid 32v32, that space, those exploits, those balance issues are going to either be writ large or they're going to be minimized. And so I guess the question is not did they test this game, but did they test it on the proper scale?
Well, here, I'm just going to bang my head on the desk then. If we're talking about testing and a lack thereof and who they've chosen to test, let's just go over under 5 minutes for each of you gentlemen. How quickly would it have taken you to figure out that shotguns needed to be dealt with? First gunfight? Maybe second?
Second time I
would have stopped on the spreadsheet.
How many flights to San Francisco would it have taken for you guys to figure out that shotguns probably need to be addressed?
Well, okay, and I guess to be fair, and we've railed against this, but I guess there is something to be said for priorities and what are they fixing, right? Like,
that's a pretty easy fix, though. It's just, I think what happens is they back themselves into a corner because that's the primary weapon now. Shotguns have always been kind of a secondary weapon. In this game, it's a primary, so they can't just. I think a lot of times it's like just nerf the shit out of it. We'll deal with it later. Like make sure it's not OP. We'll deal with it down the road. They can't do that here because it's a primary weapon in a class. But it's just like, and again, to be clear, I get so much shit on Twitter. I'm not complaining about shotguns being one hit kill. I'm not complaining about the damage per se. But 30 yards away, one shot kill to my arm is a problem. It's like. Or you're dead before you even hear a sound, or there's clearly
sound design.
The cone of the kill is there's a bunch of factors. I'm okay with it being viable, although I went on another rant saying I wish they would just delete shotguns from every FPS because they cause problems. I don't have anything against shotguns, but nobody's figured out what to do with them yet. So can we just stop?
Can we just please stop?
But see, I feel like there'd be a lot more time to spend on other things if we didn't have to figure out this shotgun issue. That I don't know. Maybe because I just don't really like using them, so it's easy for me to say that, but. I'm like, I get in this game, and of course we get the tweets saying, no, shotguns will be addressed. Why weren't they? Like, here's a public beta. When we're going to be looking at these things, and we're like, we have the problems, the heritage of problems. Mm-hmm. Here's another one coming. Gunbound. It's just like, you knew this was going to be a sore subject. I don't think it should have been a hard thing to fix. And you have all these playtesting sessions with all these consultants, and there's it's just a rant.
Two things I would say to that.
I'm salty Sully for a minute.
And as the right salty Sully is going to be the serene Sully right now. So you got to think about a project. You got to think about a project this big, right? It's a finite amount of time. You have a finite amount of resources. There are bigger issues clearly that from the first beta they had to fix for the second beta, and those don't instantly get fixed.
All right,
so it's like it. And to be fair, if you like shotguns, Battlefield 4 shotguns are terrible. Right.
Yeah.
So there's a middle ground to find. So there is balance between like nerfing something in Oblivion and I totally.
I think in Battlefield 4 they just nerfed the hell out of them because they didn't know what to do with them.
Frankly. Well, Battlefield 4 is all about the defensive perk. That's where shotguns fall down and go boom.
That's true. That's a good point. And then I totally forget what my second point was.
Well, you were saying you had a priority of time, but it's like then why do we have these Easter eggs in a beta already? Why do we have the middle fingered things? Why do we have all these gun count? Like, I know resources aren't resources. They're not all equitable, and certain guys work on different things. But when certain things to me are, I don't know if I'd call it game breaking, but it can ruin a good time. Some of these shotguns on Bank Job, Heist, to me, that's got to be addressed. If you want me to take this, because my purchase is hinging on this beta. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And that's one of the things that's really holding me back right now. Is like, all right, like, I have to take a leap of faith that you're going to fix this. And you know, I was on Twitter today with one of the guys, I forget which one of the devs, and he said, you know, time to kill is going to be addressed. The hit flinch is going to be addressed. And I'm like, can we get some solid information on this? I'm not going to just take, we know, we're going to address it. Because apparently you've had 18 sessions with these experts you bring in, and nobody saw this already. And, you know, like, or you have competitive guys, nobody saw this. And I'm not taking away from those guys. I get it. They're there to have fun and whatever. Make no mistakes about it. And I'd be the same way. But it's like, I can't take your leap of faith. If you already postponed this game 3 months and you still couldn't fix the issue then, now I'm just supposed to understand that it's going to be fixed in a month? Like, I can't do that after Battlefield 4, and that's a problem with me. It's like, here we go again, the same song and dance. So.
Right. Well, I think it also goes back to the DarthVeda point. But my other point was basically oversaturation of input. I don't know how I feel about the CTE because while it allows players to feel like they have an input to the system, there's this frustration of when are those changes going to be made, and then there's the changes of them overcompensating and what looks like a misuse of resources, right? Like, so Battlefield 4 launched so broken that they're like, all right, fuck, what do we do to save this community from completely leaving us or just completely like just dumping everything? They had to go back and say, all right, fine, we're going to have inputs to it. So what do they do with those inputs? Right. Who actually makes those decisions?
Who's
so now
processing these? I mean,
right. They're professionals. I'm not talking about they can't do this, but now they just have too much. It's swung the other way where it's like, oh crap, and then that leads them to make fixes to soldier movement in Battlefield 4, which fixed something that was probably lower on the priority for the player experience, but created 3 other things.
Yes, I agree. That was a net negative, I think.
Yeah, I think player movement was a net negative.
Then
we're waiting for all the awesome stuff to go, and that's just a matter of resources. So I guess the exercise to do is like, if it's easy to say, why didn't you fix this one thing? But I guess if we're going to say we should as a community prioritize, all right, between map balance, between all these things. If I had only like X number of energy points to put towards these, right, and I can't do all 3 of them 100, what am I comfortable with? Shotguns? I don't mind shotguns. I hate shotguns in every single freaking game I've ever played. Right. In this game, like, okay, they're fun, but because of the way the maps are, because of the way soldier movement is in Hardline, you can counter them to a certain extent. I mean, obviously you're going to get back rage, but you spawn back in, not necessarily as quickly, but you can get back into action pretty quickly, and so it's not as bad as it might be. But I guess we just got to be.
I think my problem is not even in game; it's out of game. The whole leap of faith, you know, as I'm looking for you know, I think I hate them in game. Don't get me wrong, but like you're saying, I'll put up with it. I'll learn to tactically maneuver around and things. I know this is, you know, but to me, it's just like you're literally there, and I'm speaking myself here, asking me to take a leap of faith. You're forcing me to take a leap of faith because this game's clearly not done. It's already been delayed. It's an iffy purchase for me to begin with, and then unfortunately it might be unfair to Visceral, but there's the history. There's a sack of potatoes on their back, and it's like there's warning signs here for me, and I want to be happy about it. I'm enjoying this beta, and we'll get to this at the end, more than I thought I would. But there's huge, big, glaring similarities with Battlefield 4 that I'm just like, am I gonna sucker for this again? Like I don't know, and I'm staunchly trying not to. They're saying, and it's almost like the more they say the right things, the more nervous I get. I don't know. Like, you get on Twitter and they say what you want, and you're like, that sounds great, but I don't know. I don't know. But
I think the nice thing about all this for me is I can see the issues, and there are things that can be resolved. And they've at least shown some good faith over the last year for resolving Battlefield 4 when they could have simply just said, well, we're done with that game. On to the next one.
Yeah. Oh, those guys, definitely, yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I like, as I said, I am like on some sort of intellectual level, I'm undecided about whether or not CTE is overly positive. But to Darth's point, they did make an effort and say, okay, we're going to try to fix this. And there are learnings, however slow, that will come out of that.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. It'll pay dividends a lot down the road. That's my big. I mean, I think it already has, and I think it might change the culture of their process, and that I think will be a big thing. I mean, I hope that's my hope for it, I should say. But
yeah, but it's not going to change attitudes because we're all still frustrated that we're playing basically 2 different versions of the same.
I honestly think Hardline, in a large part, is a PR move. You know, it's as much as it is a business move because, you know, the window's not so great for them and stuff. They're trying to restore some confidence to make a ton of money on Battlefront. They're trying,
random console pleb question here. Okay, so with the Battlefield, the CTE and their testing environment and everything, how is the community getting their concerns and feedback to DICE? Like you say, they're getting too much.
There's a couple of
I
ways
just
that they've been
like
doing
what
it.
kind of system are they using?
So they were using Battlelog for the longest time. They still
Forums.
are for trying to get written feedback from players. But the thing that always will shoot to the top is when a popular YouTuber will clamor about something. Like that'll immediately be put at the top of their priority list because it becomes the top of the community's priority list because everybody's like, oh, I heard this thing on this YouTube video and I'm going to repeat it forever.
It's not just it's not just everybody the thing, the
Echoes.
usual suspects, and it's not this. It's there's certain back channels clearly. When they're doing spectator things and stuff, I know they talk to some of the competitive guys, and they're very reachable in that regards. But as far as like the average person playing, I don't know whether they just change it to Reddit, and I know those guys are pretty active on there to give them credit.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't think there's a ton of input coming in now. I think it's kind of really tapered off quite a bit. I know those guys do watch quite a few videos. I know they do seek it out. And I imagine over time there's certain people that they trust, their opinions. They don't just go to any YouTuber or any Twitch streamer or whatever. They go, all right, this guy's seems to know what the hell he's talking about. Mm-hmm. But like I said, I think there's more back channels. There's certain people they do communicate with and stuff and trust. But yeah.
Well, you know what they say: if you get 1,000 monkeys typing on 1,000 typewriters for 1,000 years, eventually you'll get Battlefront. Yeah. So,
yay!
Let's hope so.
Right.
They've had a couple tries.
Half-Life 3 confirmed.
All right,
right.
so let's talk about.
I guess the counter side. Sorry, one more point. The
No,
counter side to your terms of relying on influence or input like that is eventually, if your job as a major YouTuber is to put out a video per day on your game, you're going to eventually say something smart, and you're going to eventually say a lot of stupid things. So that's how we get player movement fixes, quote unquote.
Well, the reason why I asked, and go ahead, cue eye roll here, but I noticed in my time playing Destiny, a game which is not perfect. Yes, thank you.
He's got to bring it in for everyone.
That on the Bungie forums, which I'm hoping that 343 adopts this with Halo 5, but that's another story entirely. I've noticed that with their feedback and with their forums in general, which last time I was on Battlelog, which was ages ago, they did not have this system, and they've adopted this very Reddit-like system in which your forum posts are upvoted or downvoted. And I feel like as far as getting feedback from a community, in my opinion, that's one of the best ways to do so, because you can have 100 people telling you to fix 100 different things. And if you're a developer and you don't have this upvote downvote system, all you're going to see is the most recent. You're not going to see the most. I mean, you might see the most talked about if there's a lot of people replying in one conversation or one forum
Then eventually
thread.
somebody will make a video about the thread.
Right, right, and then somebody makes a video about the thread.
Just
but I feel like
Reddit, the CTE did.
Yeah, the CTE. They're doing a pilot program with the CTE where they're trying out a forum on Reddit as specifically tailored to the CTE.
Yeah, see, like I feel like if they adopt that Reddit platform, that would go.
I think this is a test to see. I mean, I think if it's successful, I would see. Well, maybe they would keep it on Reddit. I don't know, but I think they might adapt their own.
I was going to say, that is one thing that EA does terribly. And I was joking about this while we were playing, was in terms of getting player feedback, they're terrible at it. I played one round of Hardline, and then I got it. How likely are you to recommend this to your friends, 0 to 10? And I got that after I left every single one until I answered 0, because I'm like, just leave me alone. Yeah. And that's all they do, like through Origin, right? And there's no other formal way to be like, hey, do you want 5 minutes to tell us what you like about it? Other than those stupid polls. What are you most excited about in Naval Strike?
I still wonder what you click, because I haven't gotten a single one.
So that kind of information goes straight to their marketing department where they figure out who do we sell this to, and how do we sell this?
How do we spin this?
Yeah. How many hours is he playing?
I know.
What are they most excited about Naval Strike? Oh, they're excited about what? Teabagging. Okay.
All right.
Advertisement
We're gonna do
nothing but teabagging.
We're gonna introduce some British. We're gonna do some. We're gonna do some British.
So yeah, there's a fun experiment for crowdsourcing YouTube. Is all right, everybody, you're gonna get this poll for this thing. I want you to respond with teabagging.
They put that questionnaire out, which is good. I actually don't want to recommend people troll that, because that
may or may not be Soviet badgers.
All right, but we're not necessarily running low on time, but I have a feeling this one might go a little while. So let's talk about the meat and potatoes of the ugly, the bad. It's definitely on the negative side. Time to kill, and I'm gonna just go in there. Time to kill, one hit kill, like you know what I'm talking about. overall. Now, listen, I saw on Twitter, I did ask for like a statement. Is there numbers? Is there more concrete information? I haven't gotten anything back. Maybe, probably won't. Honestly, I don't think they're going to say anything directly. But he said, I read it from him. Now this is weird because they also said visual recall wasn't in the game. That the time to kill is going to be addressed. Theoretically, I guess they could lower it there. And what did I say was going to be the twitching when you're shooting? Because I've tweeted out, can you get between the twitching when you get shot and the auto lean feature? Like I'm having a seizure in a gunfight. It's a little annoying. So I was told that they're taking the auto lean should be toggleable. It seems to be what I was told. Again, nothing directly.
It already is, but
I know you can do it in the CFG,
which is
but
ridiculous.
yeah. But it's not consistent with the CFG. I had it in some matches. It was weird. But the time to kill apparently is going to be raised, which is weird. We'll get into that. And like I said, the flinch is going to be lessened by about 50% is what I was quoted by someone who's gone to the
the good old double or half maneuver.
Yeah, the old demise balancing. Yeah, I don't know, because wasn't it, chat, tell me here, and maybe you guys know, wasn't a Badger that went on them after he went out there one time about the time to kill, saying it needed to be raised, right? And they kind of came back very staunchly saying, no, the time to kill is going to remain the same. Suddenly we get to this beta, and everybody's ripping and roaring about it, and they're going to, no, it'll be addressed. So,
well,
clearly
I don't think they're sold on the time to kill change yet, because I was looking at some tweets today that were indicative of, it looks like it's a hot button issue, or people are divided on it, or whatever. But it comes down to that the time to kill in Battlefield Hardline, in my opinion, is actually okay. But the problem with the time to kill in the Frostbite engine specifically is the same problem that we ran into in Battlefield 4 on launch, where the architecture for how the game works doesn't support the time to kill we have, which is why they were trying to address the 900 plus RPM weapons with the fall patch, and they eventually moved back on it because community pushed back on that. But it basically comes down to, you can have 100% damage delivered in one single packet, and you can do nothing about that because you will instantly die in a single frame.
Yeah, well, I guess I'll hop in here. That is my ugly. My ugly is no matter how many tweaks, no matter how much theme you have, you're still dealing with the inherent flaws of the Frostbite engine. So my main question for people who are wondering, should I get Hardline, is how much Frostbite BS do you want to put up with?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. What can they even do? Because now we've seen a lot of the same issues kind of crossing over the game. So I think they're handcuffed to a certain extent. Let me just read the tweet thing. I'm not going to name names because somebody addressed to Zaculon, which is the dev. I'll name his name. Can we get a game mode with 150% health for the people who want a longer time to kill? And the dev replies, Danny, we were all over the time to kill for the shipping game. Stop worrying. Again, it's vague, but I mean, I don't know what else he'd be saying, but the time to kill is going to go up. So obviously I haven't had to repeat. I've made direct requests to him, but nothing obviously. So nonetheless, they obviously hear it. I mean, it's the single most probably rooftop shouted thing at this point, but like you said, I think there's extrapolating things. I mean, it's also more of a close quarters game. It's more it's just shotguns, SMGs.
After having played this last week, I remember somebody having some criticism the previous week, being like, "Oh, I can't believe that hardcore doesn't have 60 health and has 100 health." I'm like, actually thinking about it, you have hardcore from Battlefield 4 as the main game mode in this.
You said that in my video. Well, in one of our plays, you were like, "This reminds me a lot of playing hardcore," and I was like, I remember you saying, I was like, "Yeah, pretty much." My problem is not that I die quickly so much as I instantly die a lot. And just what you're talking about. It's just like the packets it feels like the Battlefield 4 one-hit kill issue where it's just this almost bottleneck of packets, and then it just goes, it like reads through them all, goes, you're 100, you're just dead. Like, that's it. Like, there's no, we went through this with Battlefield 4. Everybody knows
it's like the dungeon master fell asleep.
Shit. That's my issue. Like, listen, I lose an SMG. I know what happened there. I get chewed up. I get burnt up. There's a difference between this just dead. It's like, I don't know, but
I feel like there's a little bit of trade-off between seeking realism and seeking game balance, and I feel like sometimes when they're pushing more military shooters, like particularly DICE pushes this a little bit closer towards the side of realism with these really super quick time to kills when you're shooting people. But I feel like as far as just general FPS games go, I've always personally enjoyed games that have a quite a bit lengthier time to kill, not just a little bit, Like we're not talking like a half a second. I'm talking like a good solid extra second or so to where your time to kill is literally a second and a half or 2 or even 3 seconds. And plus, when you have that, then you don't have issues with the packets anyway dropping. I feel like that could be a possible workaround for their engine. But again, I feel like it might be a break in immersion for some people, and it definitely would be a step away from what Battlefield is probably known for.
You know what? We should test this by getting like 24 people to play a game of domination with just the SAR 21. But no, seriously, because I think I joke, but I think that's an interesting prospect because then I think that changes the 1v1 battles.
Right.
To squad-based battles. I don't know. I don't know if that's good. I don't know if that's
right. And it needs to be tested.
I feel like that's always been a good way to approach a game that will maintain longevity in an infantry-based type game. I mean, like when you're looking at Battlefield, one of the hardcore staples to what it's been prior to this has been the vehicle combat. Well, the vehicle combat doesn't have that instant time to kill, which is part of what makes the vehicle combat so interesting. When it's vehicle versus vehicle, obviously if it's vehicle versus person, then you're mush. But when you have that vehicle versus vehicle, like say tank versus tank or jet versus jet or whatever, where there's a little bit more time to react, it gives the player, both players, a little bit more time to strategize. It tends to be a little bit more fun, and I feel like if they could just try and implement that into the infantry combat and at least give people that are being shot enough time to react. Yeah.
Give skill a chance to show up. You're not going to get out of every gunfight, but you're going to get out of a couple, and it's just it's a fine line though. I mean, I didn't like Bad Company 2 because that was a super long time to kill in my opinion. But that was net issues, but it resulted in a long time to kill. So I don't want to go that far either, but
I agree, if it goes too far then you get into stalemates where you can't kill anybody. But I feel like there's even Battlefield 4 was a little long for me. I feel like Battlefield 3 was probably about where I personally am happy with in a Battlefield game. But I honestly think the only reason that it was at the rate of time to kill that it was at was just due to the suppression mechanic, which everyone hates. Because
I hate Battlefield 3 suppression. I don't care if that's unpopular.
Bullets in spurs.
Like if we had a perfect netcode, I'd be okay with them trying this. But we know the issues with the netcode, and we just spent a year trying to fix those issues. And it's like they just reopened them all up. If they would have went with a normal, and here's I think they sat down and were like, all right, we need to differentiate ourselves a little bit. We can't be a copy. Everybody's saying we're a copy of Battlefield 4, so they increased the recoil, right? And that's what everybody was screaming about the first couple of days. Little did we know, once you get the 416, the M16, maybe you throw a heavy barrel on it, a grip. I think the gunplay is easier than Battlefield 4.
Actually, okay. So here's a question. Two things. Did they increase the recoil, or do we just have pre-fall patch recoil?
Well, I think naked guns, there seems to be more recoil. But
here's the interesting thing. On the carbines, for sure, you can notice the recoil. On the SMGs, you can notice the recoil. On the M416 and M16, not so much. Yeah. Like it's a little bit heavier than it is in Battlefield 4, but once you get used to it, it's really not going to be a huge difference. And I forget where I was going with this. Choo-choo train derailed.
Cool. Well, here's one thing I will note though, to me, it's like if you would have had a decent time to kill, and they did do this, they nerfed the med bag a little bit. That cooldown is pretty ridiculous, which I like. I'm all in favor for that. So here you go. Maybe fights aren't over in a second; they're prolonged, but it's more of like, it's just I would have liked to have seen that med bag nerf where you don't heal up instantly as soon as you round a corner, coupled with a little bit longer, so you stay hurt, I guess, rather than you just turn a corner and heal right up. But
so I guess I would counter to that. This is a personal preference of the two medbag fixes. First of all, the medbag Battlefield 4 launch broken. You can take so much damage in a firefight.
Oh yeah,
overpowered, right? I like the nerf in
recently
Hardline as opposed to cooldown. Like you can get health immediately. You're not going to outlast.
You can't drop your own.
It's a different solution to the same problem, and I think they're both decent.
I prefer the.
I think the one in Battlefield now needs to be tweaked back a little bit, and I think they've said they're going to do that, right? In the CT.
Yeah, it's in the CT. It feels real good.
So like I said, I think it needs to be addressed, and like you said, there's two forks in a road in essence. But I just think there's different ways. I don't know. I mean, I'm hopeful, and like I said, I keep saying there's a leap of faith here, and to me, it's like, can I play with it as it is right now? Yeah, I'm okay with a shorter time to kill. Again, I feel like there's too much clunkiness in the netcode and the engine right now to really kind of consistently deliver that short netcode. Because let's be honest, they're probably competing with COD. That's part of their direction too. They want that faster game. But
I remember where I was going now. So
Vetoed.
the thing I've never really
missed.
the thing that so okay, let me back up here and make some feather bedding here so I don't piss off a bunch of hardcore players. I played my first 250 hours of Battlefield 3 in hardcore. I have fun in hardcore still, but it's a game mode that I have some problems with for a lot of reasons that we've listed. And primarily, aiming is not a premium in hardcore because of how fast the time to kill is. You can hit somebody with 3 bullets and they're dead. They don't have any time to reply to you. They don't have. There's really no way that they can. It's all about
the skill's not in the gunfight. It's in the preparation. You've won the gunfight before you pull the trigger.
Right. There's
It's not necessarily a bad thing.
There's a premium to people who can aim well. It's still important, but it becomes less of a difference when it's about snap gameplay.
Yeah.
Like, hey, how fast can you snap to the guy? How fast can you locate him and just start shooting at him before he shoots at you? And in hardcore in 3 and 4, I've always felt that it's really just a race to which player has the highest damage per second weapon.
Yeah,
I just think less room for differentiation.
It's just poorly balanced. They're trying to balance 2 games in essence with the same patches. It just doesn't work. That's why I don't like hardcore. They're just poorly balanced. But I think you're right though. I think Hardline is very similar feel to me as hardcore, and at least I haven't played in Battlefield 4, but Battlefield 3. I don't know. I think we're all kind of beating the same drum here, but
yeah.
I want to know how they're going to address it, and I want to know why they were so staunchly for it. I just think it was a bad decision from the start, to be honest. I think even if you had the same time to kill, now I think the weapons are easier.
If they do 150 health, are they going to call it softcore?
Well, okay, so
We'll call it glamour.
A solution to that is letting server hosts and just customize their own settings.
I don't know.
Right? You want to have a thing where like, all right, you can say 150 health. Can you? Can you knock up the health of somebody? As opposed to just knock up the health. Can you knock up players?
I think you can.
In server settings, you can change the health of players, but it changes you from an official it changes to a custom unranked server.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So, if you had some sort of settings that allow you to do stuff like that, then you would let the community solve it for you. But nope, they want to control that game experience. So
it's a lack of control there.
I think as far as their server settings and controlling it with making it unranked if you move it at all, I think that's more so that people don't do the opposite and try to get away with it. In fact, it is possible in Battlefield 4, and I know of a few competitive teams that actually did it to boost their stats, in which they would make an official they would be an official hardcore server, but they would turn all the HUD on so that it looked like it was a core. And if you just did your regular matchmaking on Battlefield, you'd totally get put into the game thinking it was just a regular core game. And because all the comp players were in there and they knew it was hardcore, they were totally working the system.
They're big phonies. They're big phonies.
Yeah.
You're a big fat phony.
I think we all kind of agree, and I'm reading the chat. Everybody's pretty similar. So the jury's out on that. I think we have a dislike for it. Where are they going to go from here? That's going to be one of the things I follow very closely between now and release, and it's going to factor majorly into my decision. I want to just kind of talk about the modes a little bit, specifically. So we'll just go down that list, and then I had one other topic I wanted to hit. We're kind of running up against time. I knew that was going to happen. Let's just talk about Heist first. We've been talking about that a lot, so we'll kind of probably get that one over a little bit quickly. What are you guys' opinions on that? Darth, we'll let you lead off this time because I don't think I've let you lead one. Heist, did you play it only a bank job, I guess?
I did.
But downtown was the same as a previous beta.
Yeah, I did downtown a little bit, and I wrecked on downtown, but that's because I knew exactly where I should be on that map because I played it plenty of times before. I like Heist. I'm curious to see what the other maps play out as. It's definitely a nice little short gameplay mode that feels different from previous Battlefield titles. It feels more like it would be at home in CSGO. And I also like how they've integrated random drop-off points. That's kind of neat. Just to sort of vary it up. But yeah, I mean, Heist is interesting, but I'm actually more curious to see what other gameplay modes we have coming. Like, I really was hoping we would see Crosshair. I did like Blood Money before. I think I mentioned that during.
Yeah, Blood Money's
I think on that
good.
video you mentioned it too. I think.
Yeah, it's I mean, yeah, it's short, it's sweet, it's to the point. I think it'll be a nice staple for this particular incarnation of Battlefield, and it'll probably be one of my. If I want to play Conquest, I'll probably go play Battlefield 4.
That's kind
That's what it's going to come down to.
Yeah.
I think that should be how it is. I mean, if you want that effect, you go play Battlefield 4. If you want a COD version, you go play Hardline. But Puppy, what do you think about Heist?
I personally love Heist. I found it to be very enjoyable, even though the map was a little bit broken. I felt like I was trying to look past that and go, it's not always going to be broken, and they can probably fix this too. Given enough time. For an overall game mode and what it is, and the purpose behind it, and the purpose that you feel while you're playing it, I feel it's very fun. It's very exciting. Harkening back into my 2142 days, any kind of game mode that has a plausible purpose in which you're going into a game mode
right.
and what you're doing makes sense, I enjoy it thoroughly, which is also part of why I'm really sad to see Conquest come back. I understand it's the Battlefield staple.
brand.
It's the one that you just got to keep bringing it back because that's what makes Battlefield Battlefield. But you're literally explain to me.
I feel like I was
Please.
contractually obligated to be in.
Why we go and stand by a flag for a few seconds and then wander over there and do the same thing. And
Because we left our pillow in the hotel.
I think the big problem we're going to run into with Heist and game modes like it that they've made interesting and entertaining for Hardline is that we're going to have a lot of servers running 64-player versions of it, which I don't think is well adapted to.
Because that was going to be my other question. What do we think the sweet spot will be on Pop for Heist? I think 32 is all right.
32 is perfect because especially on Bank Job, if you make that 64 person, those lanes that you can, the space on that map is so fluid. Even everybody runs to the vault and you throw nades now. Like it'll take you a month for
that's
that
the
entire
version
vault.
of UCAV in Hardline. No wonder you run right to the vault.
Don't. But seriously, you should as the police on Bank Heist, you should open that first set of doors, and the first 3 you need to throw nades.
Yeah.
That's all you do.
2 nades and a Molotov. That'd be great.
Exactly. But I mean, 32 is going to be good. But I guess to Darth's point, even with 64, the more people play those maps and the more the people get collective experience on it, that's going to change, and that's going to take a lot of the novelty out of it. That's a really kind of a roundabout way to say I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's again. I think I spoke about this. Is Bank Job going to be the norm, or is Bank Job going to be the exception? Again, I go back to the Metro. We saw Metro. We're like, oh my god, ended up being the exception. So I think I've seen. Like I said, it seems to be on paper or on images. There's a good blend of bigger maps, smaller. There's like a mansion. There's obviously the grow house. There's we're gonna see. I think more of a CQB element. So I don't know because like Dust Bowl's all right. But it's not. It's kind of silly, honestly. It's like one house on the whole map. Downtown, a little weird too. Obviously, so I don't know. It depends on how it extrapolates out to the rest of the maps. I mean, are they going to be like Bank Job or are they going to be like Dust Bowl? I don't know. So it takes time to tell. That's why it'd be hard to have one server setting. I think, say 64 might work on Dust Bowl, may not on another one. But it's not going to work on any of them, honestly. But it might be playable on one, not on others.
I don't know if it'll work specifically for Heist. I mean, more different maps might be able to accommodate different player counts, but I feel like for the Heist in particular as a game mode, that should just be like a 32. 48's kind of pushing it, maybe. Just because of how the objective tends to focus people in. I feel like it's kind of like the same deal that we see in Battlefield 4, and part of why I still feel like Rush is so broken. Everyone says Rush is broken, Rush is broken, Rush is broken, except for 2 groups of people. The Xbox 360 guys and the PS3 guys. And why is that? That's because they have a 24-player count. Because Rush works with 24 players. Mm-hmm. If you, the smaller, some of these game modes that have that kind of objective focus just need a smaller player count. Don't throw so many people at it and you're okay. And I feel like Heist is one of those where you don't need a crap ton of people to keep the action exciting.
What were we playing? 64-man Giants of Karelia, and I almost rage quit. I
Yeah.
was like, this
No,
is,
it's so dumb.
no.
And it's become
The hills are
I
alive.
think that's part of the reason why people have such nostalgia for Battlefield Bad Company 2 maps, for rush maps. My understanding, having not played that, is that they were limited to 32 on that game.
At least on the consoles that I played, yeah, I don't know.
And I'm like, oh, hey, Rush was so good in here, and people don't consider the fact that the Rush mode they play so much on PC is always 64, where every lane can be stacked 3 lines deep, and it's
5 guys
basically
dropping
like trying to
mortars.
cross trenches in World War One.
Yeah, and that's the community's going to maximize anything you give them,
Exactly.
right? So don't give them the option to do 64.
Yeah, just don't give it to them.
Right. So,
Don't give it to them.
Let's move on to another one. Conquest. This should be real. I mean, we had Dust Bowl. That's really it. It wasn't on Downtown, right? It was just Dust Bowl. I didn't see it on that. I mean, obviously we said it's kind of jarring. It doesn't seem to fit, but again, I think it's kind of to have that common thread through a Battlefield game. It feels weird, but once you get in, you're playing Conquest. Big deal. I've said, I mean, if I want the Battlefield experience with vehicles and helicopters, helichopters, I'll go play Battlefield 4, obviously. So I kind of like that it's a little bit different. Like I said, it's almost like a domination on steroids a little bit. The long cap time, there's elements that are weird. Dust Bowl, I think, is probably a kind of a poor representative. Like, some flags are way harder than others, and so I enjoyed it, though. I did enjoy it, especially the rounds we were playing together with a little bit of coordination. So I would actually probably end up playing Conquest. If I'm playing solo, just logging into the game, I'd play Conquest on Hardline more than I would on Battlefield 4. So what did you guys think? So you can lead it off. Conquest, I guess, on Dust Bowl.
I don't mind it. I thought Dust Bowl played fine. I do agree with Puppy, though. Probably also his dog, if his dog was laying in. I think it's kind of weird and out of context, but you got to have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Darth, what do you got?
I don't dislike Dust Bowl. I think it's a map. I didn't feel particularly strongly. It gets like 1/2 alt ranges out of me. I don't know. What's the grading scale? I mean, for a Conquest map, it seemed fine. There wasn't really anything I had to. There weren't any bones to pick up that I had for it. Like, its distance between flags is decent. It feels decently balanced, but there's really nothing special about it. That's like, oh yes, this will be the map that everybody's playing in Battlefield 19.
Have you guys played it 64, man? I'm reading chat. I didn't get a chance to play it 64. Was it better? Worse? Like, did it work? I'm hearing good things in chat.
So for me, Dust Bowl on 64 is fine. What generally ended up happening is one team would dominate the map, but that could just be with the teams I was on.
It's also big,
something I've noticed in Battlefield Hardline a lot more than Battlefield 4 is because there are fewer vehicles, maybe, is a giant wave of infantry that always seems to be walking around the map.
It's like a zombie horde.
Zombie horde, yeah.
Puppy, your camera just zoomed out and we got the full. I mean, that dog just doesn't give a shit about anything.
She's awesome, dude.
Darth's cat was lurking, and you could see the eyes over the desk.
I'm waiting for the dog or the cat to notice the other.
Oh, there you are.
Pretty good. So, Come on up the wildlife edition. All right, so then let's get to Hotwire. I have, 5 rounds of Hotwire. So let's just the Hotwire, the very hyped, very, very, very hyped Hotwire game mode on Downtown and Dust Bowl. I played a couple rounds. It was what I thought it was going to be. I think it's probably going to be worse at release. The cheese is going to be thick. But apparently it's good for ranking up. You get tons of points, so there's that. Puppy, did you play any Hotwire? What did you think of it?
I actually did not get to play it, so I cannot comment.
I think that's a comment in and of itself. So what were your impressions of it? You were shaking your head there.
I don't care for it. Every other vehicle except the cars that you steal has a ton of health. And it's basically it's Demolition Derby, which is nice every once in a while, but I'm not gonna pick that out on my own.
Out of all the game modes, I think that's the one that teams that know what the fuck they're doing are just going to completely wreck everybody else. Because all I had to do was spawn as an engineer in one of the slots in those cars, and that thing became indestructible.
Well, then you've got like the sabotage gadget. You've got the C4. Like this guy in the back of the van with C4. He's gonna have a good time.
Keep going, Frank.
Don't you stop. Whatever you do not.
So that's the game mode that most makes me want a Mad Max game all of a sudden.
It's like the tanker truck just sits there unoccupied because everybody's like, nope. Nope.
I'm pretty sure they have a cement truck or maybe a bus.
The team gets 10 points out of that tanker
Wouldn't
truck.
that be awesome? Like a bus that you could fit your whole team of 32 people on?
That would have been awesome.
That kill feed though.
It's like a
that
school
kill
bus.
feed.
That would be there would be some UCAVs there, boy.
It's gotta be Mel Gibson, not Tom Hardy though.
So I mean, well, we didn't really play too much, and I mean, I think, like I said, I think that kind of says enough, at least for our panel. I wasn't anxious to play it. I don't mind. Let me say this: I don't mind it because I think it does fit the genre. It kind of fits, and it's at least it's new. I think actually the concept's pretty good. To me, it's like the whole idea of we just drive around. That's what we do. Like we don't. There's no secondary objective here.
So
I don't know.
I literally ran around the maps doing nothing.
Like, what if you could take the cars to like a compound and store them?
I've never played Twisted Metal. Is that anything like this mode?
No.
A little. I could see it a little bit.
You didn't play this mode.
Well,
though,
look, I didn't play it, but I played Twisted Metal. I played the crap out of that
game. They
game.
ram each other and then jump out and throw grenades. And I mean,
there's no jumping out in Twisted Metal. You pull out your laser beams out the top of your car and stuff.
It's basically what they do.
So clearly, that is what this mode is missing.
Yeah, laser beams. You heard it here first. We will submit it in the survey. All right, one thing I did want to talk about a little bit, and I don't know that any of us are really that qualified to talk about it, but when did that ever stop us? Let's talk about the competitive element. Do we see a future here? Is there something? I mean, obviously, we're kind of, from a macro point of view, obviously, there's a lot of things have to go right, a lot of things have to go not wrong. Mm-hmm. Is there potential here? Because, I mean, we talked a little bit about Heist potentially and things. I haven't looked at the spectator mode. Like, that's going to need some upgrading to make it a legit viewable spectator sport, or a competitive mode, I guess. But I think there's some elements that could work. We touched on Crosshair. We've got Rescue. Isn't that the other one? With the hostages or something? And Heist is one I wasn't planning on. Go ahead, Sully. Go ahead.
I'll say I'll hop in. That'll surprise nobody. Honestly, of all the modes, Blood Money is going to be the one I'd be interested to see.
Too, would work.
I think Bank Heist has too many different ways to win it for any competitive scene. Like, you're going to need a lot of players to effectively. Think about it, like defending Bank Job. You're going to need to send people in to try to delay them at all. But once they're broken, then you've got to
that's like, I mean, stop. It's going to play out like Counter-Strike. I think you're going to need like a 30-round round. And it's like once whoever wipes each other at the first go is going to get the package out and probably get it delivered. You might have a comeback because it's not one death, one life death, whatever I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but it's very hard to counter if you get wiped. I feel like
that's what I think.
Unless you force 3 people to put beacons by each 3-point, and then you can squad hop. It's a little too. I think it's a little too complex.
That's why I think 8v8,
to work out on
maybe
small size.
12v12, but then you get into the logistics of a team, and then you start getting other things that are difficult. But
yeah, 5v. I mean,
your webcam
5v5 modes succeed because you don't need 8 people.
Right. No, I agree. There's logistical reasons, but I mean, I think I'm with you on that.
And I think with the back and forth, what I really liked about the first beta from this game is the fact that Blood Money has a back and forth. You have to make a decision: am I defending now? Am I attacking? Do I send somebody back? How many people do I send to push? Right. There's simple decisions, and there's a back and forth. So I would be interested to see competitive on that if they keep it the way it was.
Yeah, I'm waiting for my buddy Aardvark to chime in. I think he's still here. I know he's always one of my competitive guys. So, somebody's asking about competitive. Oh, Mr. Time, how you doing, buddy? Is there proper matchmaking for 5v5 teams? I have seen nothing. Have you guys seen anything on matchmaking? I would love to see it. They hinted at it on CTE, but
there's a half-hearted attempt at matchmaking on the CTE, and that's just sort of like puttered around, and they haven't really said much or done much with it. But as far as Battlefield Hardline competitive goes, like, the thing that I think we've already touched on a lot of these issues is, even if everything else goes right, we still have the problem of Battlefield 4, or we're on the Battlefield 4 engine, we have a 30 hertz tick rate, we have all the netcode problems, we have the time to kill that factors into that. That's going to be a hard bit of bark for competitive players to chew.
Yeah.
You can't rely on the consistency of the game.
Well, that's what we're getting all the way back. With a low time to kill, it's going to be even worse, yeah.
All right, but in its favor, because there are less gadgets and weird shit in Hardline, it's going to be...
Theoretically. I don't know, there might be more of these.
Hopefully there's less weird shit. XM25, I'm looking at you. The thing that always amazed me about competitive matches in Battlefield 4 is how many things they banned or did not let players play with because they wanted to just bring it down to a very core experience. And at that point, I'm going, well, why are we even playing Battlefield 4 and not a game that is not Battlefield 4.
Well, I think
Yeah.
we're getting back to the logistics things. I mean, I don't know how hard it is to kind of have a rounded team in Battlefield 4. You need a tanker, you need a guy, you need shooters. It should be a little bit easier to find teams in that sense. But I hope it does. I hope it works. Again, like I said, I think a big hurdle is going to be the spec mode. It's got to improve quite a bit. And I've been kind of listening to Brett FX, who's my go-to guy. I've had him on. He casts a lot of competitive stuff. Some of the stuff I'm seeing him type in, I'm just like, yeah, they didn't really do anything with that, which is unfortunate. So I think at launch, I don't know. And then you guys, good luck to the guys that are going to try it. But I'll watch it. I will check it out. And I mean, I'm kind of burnt out on Battlefield 4 competitive, so I think there's potential.
Is that
there.
still a thing, by the way? I'm honestly
I
asking.
think it is because the competitive obliteration is kind of brought it back a little bit.
I will say this, and I feel like I'm probably the only one that's going out on a limb here and giving a definite answer, and I don't think Hardline will succeed in the competitive. I don't think it will, and here's why. I mean, they can fix spec mode, that's fine. They could even fix their time to kills, and they can fix their map balance to where you have all the trappings and the makings of a perfect competitive game. But there's two things, in my opinion, that are really just... It's going to make launching this game as a competitive arena difficult, and that's one is Battlefield 4 has left a sour taste in a huge number of people's mouths. I mean, even though they've been passionate, ever-living shit out of it, even though the competitive players are kind of pissed at it, they don't. It's left a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. Sure. And then on top of that, when was the last time that EA or DICE even really went out on a limb and helped support the Battlefield community by putting together events for them? Because that kickstarts a lot of that community. I mean, like when you look at Call of Duty, Activision went and they basically, I mean, they didn't have to kickstart a whole lot, but all they got to do before the game even comes out, a week before the game comes out, they say, all right, we got $1 million tournament, bring your best teams and let's see who gets it. Something like that is huge, because not only is that going to drive interest for that first initial $1 million, I mean, who wouldn't want that, but it'll carry on through it because you'll have the people that watched it that didn't have the game. I mean, they tried to do something similar when they did the, the Battlefield 4, was it Europe versus America? Was that what it was?
Yeah, something. Yeah, I remember doing something
they tried something like that, but there was no money on the line, and it was just a bunch of like randomly selected like YouTubers, competitive players, and just kind of a bunch of people selected almost at random, it seemed. And I think if they can, if EA or DICE just throws down an official tournament and throws down, they don't even got to throw down $1 million. That might be a bit much. You can throw down, I don't know, $20,000, $50,000, something like that. That's enough to get people to go, oh, okay, let's try this out. I mean, you're gonna have your competitive players that are thinking, all right, I can drop $60 for a chance to win. So of course they'll buy into it, and if it's successful, and if everything else, your time to kill and your map balance and your spec mode all line up, then that's what's going to drive your community. But you got to have that
you're talking
Kickstarter.
About, you're talking about support, which they're paying lip service to it. The devs are, but is the money going to be where their mouth is? And I don't know. I don't know behind the scenes what's been said, obviously, and I know they have invited guys out. Which is a good start, and they're, but we haven't really seen them do much as far as support things. And I don't know the details of it. Obviously I'm not involved in it, but I just think Hardline in and of itself, as far as it has more tools, I guess, for competitive. As like think about Battlefield 4, we had, Conquest and Domination were really. I mean, obviously everybody wanted to do the sabotage, and that just was DOA, but I think there's more options there. Whether again, we're just saying in chat, you need to see the polish, because it's going to be all about the polish when you're at that level. Obviously you can't have the things going on, the time to kill issues and things like that going on. But I don't know, it'll be interesting to see. I hope it works. I hope it again. When I'm saying like yay or nay, good or bad, I mean I'm not putting it up against League or CS:GO. It's like are we going to see a growth beyond Battlefield 4? And I think there could be. A lot is going to hinge on Hardline in and of itself. Is because the game has to be successful for the audience to even be there. So I guess, I mean, we got to cross that hurdle first. There can't be a competitive scene if casuals aren't playing it, you know. So
Right.
Yeah.
and I've agreed. I think they have to have developer support or from somewhere, because right now it's been always seemingly from a third party, and it's kind of disappointing because I don't know. And maybe Sully, you can speak. Keep advertising to me. When you wrap it all up, you fund a tournament, and it's kind of
It is an ad, but it's an ad that works.
Yeah, it is. It's like the ultimate
targeting your hardcore demo, I would think.
Right. Well, I mean,
go ahead, Sully.
I was going to say part of the reason when this is on the one time at CS:GO. Part of the reason, right? I know. Let me tell you about this one time on Dust. No, but part of the reason why CS:GO or this Counter-Strike series has such longevity is that's one of those games that it can be just as interesting to watch as it is to play. And so that it is an ad, but it's also another mode of engagement. And Puppy has a great point, but they're two separate things, right? It's a chicken egg situation. Like if EA and DICE had thrown $1 million at BF4 in November of 2013, it would have been a waste. Like I would have preferred they set it on fire or give us all like 50 cents.
Sure, right.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'll actually give you a personal example from my history. I worked for a company that did do had a competitive game, did a $100,000 tournament for it, and people played up until the $100,000 tournament. We had our tournament. It was done, and nobody ever played it again after that.
Right, you got to have a balance of the game where you're going to have those scrub teams scrubbing it up, playing scrims, 5v5 me, bro, in servers, and the incentive to host a server isn't there. Like you because you're not going to get the scrims, but also there's not like it's the halo effect. Right, so you have like your top level product, and then those benefits trickle down to everything else you do. And if you don't have that strong competitive scene, and that requires a lot more than throwing money at the issue, but long-term support and a game mode that works, which, like I said, I guess the back of my answer was I'm interested to see how maybe a mode like Blood Money, it's pretty simple, and it can work on smaller numbers of players, and it has a back and forth, and it has a certain strategy to it. So I'm interested to see if that would even allow for a framework or a foundation upon which to build what Puppy talked about and what Darth, within mind what Darth was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of variables. Is basically what it's coming down to. I mean, you got to have. It's like chicken or the egg too. It's like you need support, but even before all that, you need the mode, and for that, you need the guns to work. So there's a lot of ifs, and I think that's what they were getting at with Polish. But yeah, I guess they couldn't put any. I mean, there was. I think when you guys mentioned this, I was only half paying attention at the moment, but like there was that $1 million tournament that never was, right? I mean. It was all this, braggadocio and promises and hype, and then it was obviously they got their money out of just hyping it, and then we're like, well, we don't really have to do this, and they couldn't have done it at the time because it would have been a nightmare. The game was just so broken, but I'm just trying to kind of read the chat and see what some of the guys there are saying. But I'd like to see it succeed. I think I think there's more tools there than there were in Battlefield 4. It's more fitting of our current kind of competitive environment. It'd be interesting to see what the teams themselves do and see whether they're excited about it. I kind of haven't seen too much commenting from them, but they've got to be excited that at least some of them are being asked for input, because that's never. I mean, I think might have happened at the end with like the Oblit game mode, but more or less, DICE Stockholm just ignored them for the most part, which they had a lot on their plate. I guess is a little bit understandable. So I think what we'll do, we're about hitting the 2-hour mark, and frankly, lately YouTube's been cutting off 2-hour uploads, so I've been trying to keep it under that. I kind of hit all of our topics. We can come back and kind of talk to chat if they have any questions, but I think we're going to end the podcast proper. Thank you, Darth, Sully, and of course Puppy. Thanks for MacGyvering together a rig and joining me tonight. I thought I might have to cancel. I thought I might have to be late, but I wanted to fit this one in while we were all, it's hot on our minds and stuff.
While it was relevant.
We can always do another one down the road a little bit. Hopefully we get some announcements, a little more concrete information. But thank you for coming on and talking. Chat, thanks for coming out. We're going to go down. We'll come back up. I don't know, Puppy, you said you're not staying late, so obviously.
Yeah, I can't.
I'll hang around and talk to chat for a little while. You guys, if you want to do that, that's cool. If you want to go, you're free to go. Sully, I know you've had a long day.
I'm good. I may actually stream after this. So yeah.
Okay. So like I said, I'm going to take the stream down. Yeah, I'm going to use the facilities anyway. That's the real reason we're cutting. Drop the stream, bring it right back. We'll just do the after show. We'll hang out. Oh, actually, yeah, we'll do that after that. Puppy, Darth, stick around for a minute. I want to show you something.
Oh.
No, it's kind of actually. Yeah.
We talked about certain picks beforehand. I think
Snapchat, right? Yeah, we
Oh, no.
contractual
Oh, no.
allegations. So.
A squads. We're doing.
Let me stop before you.
A squad
Before you